We'll just give us a couple minutes. The mayor's doing mayor things real quick, so. Eye of the tiger, yeah.
All right, thank you everyone for your patience. I call the regular meeting of the Wildomar City Council in the Cemetery District to order at 6:04 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember DiFilippo.
Here.
Councilmember Morabito.
Here.
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nig.
Here.
Mayor Marquez.
Here. Pro Tem, can you lead us in the flag salute, please?
You got it. Everyone, please stand and place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. That was it.
Thank you, Pro Tem. City Attorney, are there any reportable announcements from closed session?
Thank you. The City Council met in closed session with respect to both of the items that are on the closed session agenda, and there is no reportable action with respect to either of those items.
Thank you, City Attorney. All right. Before we get into our presentations, just want to start off with some opening remarks. So I want to take a moment to address an issue that generated significant concern in our community last month. First, I want to clarify exactly what occurred and how the process works. The item in question was brought forward by city staff at a planning commission meeting. It was not initiated by the planning commissioners, nor by the city council. In our process, staff research and prepare proposed policy changes, which are then reviewed publicly by the Planning Commission before ever coming to the City Council for consideration. The Planning Commission serves in an advisory role, and ultimately any final decision would have required a public hearing and action by the City Council here on this dais. I also want residents to understand that no official decision can be made outside of a public meeting. The business of the people must be conducted publicly, which is why Planning Commission meetings and City Council meetings are so important. Those meetings are where concerns are heard, questions are raised, and decisions are openly discussed before any action is taken. Public participation is not just welcomed, it's essential to how local government should function. It's equally important to acknowledge that there were aspects of this process that understandably caused frustration and concern within the community. The item was scheduled for a special planning commission meeting, meaning that it was held outside of the commission's regularly meeting schedule. Because it was a special meeting, the legal noticing requirements were shorter than usual, and in hindsight for staff, I'm sure that a proposal involving significant changes that directly impact residents, I'm sure that their takeaway is that a shorter notice period was not the best approach. Our community deserves adequate time to review proposals, ask questions, and participate meaningfully in the process. Additionally, I've been informed by our Community Development Director that staff will be bringing back our current setbacks that were adopted as part of the more than year-long general plan update process. The goal is not to be as restrictive when it comes to large animals in rural zones, while still ensuring thoughtful planning and compatibility within the community. I also want to say this clearly. All of us on this dais care deeply about this town, just as you do. We value the character of our community, and we understand the responsibility that comes with serving the public. In response to concerns that were raised, our city manager has already begun implementing changes internally to improve the process moving forward. These efforts include avoiding special meetings whenever possible for major community impacting items, increasing direct outreach to affected residents, and strengthening overall community engagement so residents receive earlier and clearer communication. Good leadership means listening to the community, learning from mistakes, and improving processes when concerns are raised. And that's exactly what we intend to do. So thank you to everyone who took the time to attend the last two Planning Commission meetings. If you're here today, welcome. We appreciate you taking the time to speak up and stay engaged in the future of our city. Before we continue, City Manager, do you have any comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the mayor said it very well, but just from a staff perspective, just wanted to say that yes, we are working on some changes internally to improve communications and processes so that the type of confusion that happened last month will hopefully be avoided moving forward. I do want to point out just process, right? Staff is appointed to do sometimes very technical jobs. And in community development and in planning, very often staff is looking things at, in the terms of a technical analysis and responding to, in some cases, issues that they're dealing with process, and in this case, code enforcement issues that they're looking to address. And it's really the job of the elected and appointed representatives, so the City Council and the Planning Commission, to look at that information and then bring in the perspective of the community, right? Community sentiment, community values. They are the elected and appointed representatives of the public. The item that came up last month, it missed the mark when it came to what's important to the community, right? And I don't think we're ever in any real danger of those things being implemented into policy, because it would have had to be approved by the Planning Commission and then go to the City Council and be approved at a City Council meeting as part of a public hearing, and then come back to the City Council on second reading, and then if approved, 30 days after that goes into. We were very far away from any of that ever happening, but just the very fact that it appeared in a staff report on a Planning Commission agenda was enough to raise concerns. And so in that way, I think the process worked as intended. The community saw that, expressed concerns, the Planning Commission responded, the City Council responded. But I want the community to know that we understand how important the history of this community is, the more rural areas and the rural nature, the equestrian element. And I've heard nothing on the staff side or on the part of the City Council, the Planning Commission, that would indicate to me that anyone has a desire to change any of that. In fact, we're actively looking for ways to enhance those things, and we have an item on the agenda tonight that I believe actually might be continued to a future agenda item to work on an Old Town specific plan as an example, as one way to start preserving some of the historical nature of the city. And so understand that the process is one thing. I believe the process worked. It gave the community a little bit of a scare. For that, we're sorry, and we are working on ways to prevent that from happening in the future.
At least anything, if we know that the community's watching and paying attention, right? That's a good thing. Keep us on our toes. The mayor and I had the same conversation. If you guys don't know, we're talking about the, animals and chickens. I can tell you when I saw it on Facebook, 'cause I don't always see the Planning Commission agenda. It somehow showed my feed. I'm like, oh, that'll never pass. And then I just kept going. So you're not wrong. It was really far away from ever being an actual thing. And if my colleagues are of similar mindset, I'm sure it was never going to pass. And so, yeah. Thanks, Mayor, for saying some of those good stuff. Before
we continue, just want to make it clear that I I do anticipate that some of you are here to give public comment on this item. We will not be able to respond. So I took the liberty of opening this meeting with those remarks so that our city attorney doesn't have to reprimand me later. With that, we'll begin our presentations, and we've got quite a few. All right. So our first proclamation that we will be issuing today is to recognize Building and Safety Month. I would like to invite our chief building official and building and safety staff to join us up here. And our chief building official will give us a little insight into this month. And if you haven't seen it yet, you guys are looking at some of Wildomar's finest. They're on social media. They put out a video, and you'll be seeing more of these videos throughout the month.
Thank you, Mayor. So basically this year, or this month, May 26, 2026, every year in the month of May, internationally it's recognized as Building and Safety Month. So what this month is for is bringing awareness to the building and safety profession, to the homes, the businesses, buildings that you guys are in, that you guys own, operate from, to bring that awareness into how, as your staff, we are making these buildings, or we're endeavoring to make these buildings more safe for anybody that's in them. If you look in the back, this year's theme is Built to Last. So there's, over the 4 weeks, there's 4 different topics that that we have each week, and they focus on something specifically each week. On that board in the back, there's a little Scantron. Feel free to scan that, and it takes you into some some easy, simple tips for your homes, for your businesses, that you can use to make sure that they're safe. So, and personally, I would like to thank the staff. They do an excellent job in performing all of their duties. They're very conscientious about what they're performing, and really looking, myself and them are always looking at the safety and looking out for everybody's best interest. So I appreciate them.
So now, on behalf of the city of Wildomar, we proclaim this month Building and Safety Month, and encourage our residents to join us as we participate on Building and Safety Month activities. Corey, if you can take a picture of us. Council, if you can get behind us. And I just want to point out what great taste our chief building official has. I mean, look at this. We coordinate.
Smooth. And the blue shirts.
All right. Next up, we would like to issue a proclamation to Animal Friends of the Valley. For those of you that don't know, Beth, please come on up. If you haven't heard, AFV was recognized as Nonprofit of the Year by Assemblymember Johnson. And so, Beth, if you want to go ahead and just share a little bit about the great stuff that the shelter does. I do want to give you guys a little insight, though. What we're doing is working. The amount of animals coming through the shelter has gone down since last year, about 700 less. So, that means that we're having responsible pet owners. But Beth, if you want to give a little insight.
Okay, I'll give that back to you. Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council, for this recognition. Yes, we are awarded Nonprofit of the Year for the entire state of California. So we are going up to Sacramento on Wednesday. to accept the award. And since we've made the announcement, we've had a lot of publicity from LA, up north, Newsweek, a lot of different areas. So we're bringing recognition to our great city of Wildomar. So we're thrilled. And for everyone who doesn't know, we are located off a Mission Trail. And last year alone, we opened our doors to over 8,600 dogs and cats and 1,000 others, meaning rabbits, guinea pigs, reptiles, and small farm animals. So, and we're so pleased to say that we're at the highest adoption rate in our 38-year history. So we're doing great, but thank you so much for this recognition, and we love bringing exposure to Wildomar and everything that you guys do. So thank you.
They beat that, Menifee, right? Beat that, Temecula. I say that because Menifee's in the back. I was messing with him.
All right. All right, if you guys want to come
Yeah.
gather for a picture.
Okay, here we go. And 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Can I take one more?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right.
Thank you so much. Do you have the list of parts, only these 3? Who had it? Oh, Jim. Actually, I'd like to invite Jim up with me. How you doing? Okay. So with us today, we have our Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Jim Jedrzewicz. Did I get that right? I'm trying. Close.
You gave it.
Oh,
Good try. Good try.
close. And he's here today because this month we'd like to recognize folks that make an impact in our community and recognize local heroes. As you know, we're coming up on a lot of promotions, graduations from the school district. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize teachers that will be retiring from the school district this year from our local Wildomar schools. So Jim is here with us today. We have, I believe, 3 in attendance. We do? Confirmed? All right. And I'm sorry, Councilmember Morabito, there was a special request on 2 of these, 1 of these? Okay. Do I have,
Mike and Shelley.
no, but wasn't somebody going to speak from their daughter? Is Sam Wiggs here? Sam Wiggs? Sam, could you come up here?
Oh, man.
Yeah, she's a hardworking paraeducation.
So, 2 of the individuals that we will be recognizing today are very near and dear to Sam. So, Sam, I don't want to steal your thunder. Please go ahead and recognize them.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I did not expect to be up here. The 2 people that I am here for today, 2 of the 3, are my parents. They both have worked at Donald Graham since it opened. How many years ago? I'm not sure. They started their career in 1990, so they have put 36 years into the city of Wildomar, helping so many students, so many faces that are here today have gone through that school. So, just wanted to be a part of their recognition for the city of Wildomar. Can I say something for my teacher too? Okay. I'm also here for my teacher, Mrs. Brady. She is at the Wildomar Elementary School. It's been a pleasure working with her the last handful of years, and I'm very, very sad to see her go, but very proud of her for her next chapter in her life. So.
Thank you so much, Sam. Up to you. Yeah, at this time, I would like to ask Michael and Shelley Wiggs to join us up here. Shelley, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as
Michael,
well.
it's a pleasure to meet you. I would also like to call Terry Salvaggio up here as well. And Jim, I believe there was one more?
Nope, that's it.
Oh, that was it? Okay. So I just want to start off by saying what a privilege it is to have such dedicated individuals such as yourself give so much to our city, to our community. You know, you guys have been teaching there at these schools longer than we've been a city, so, you know, wow, you know, that's just, that's amazing, right? Congratulations on your retirement. It's well-deserved. I'm sure we're going to miss, you know, the schools are going to miss you, the staff are going to miss you, the kids are going to miss you. But, you know, there's no shortage of impact that you've made and had on this community. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to recognize you on behalf of the city, congratulate you on your retirement. And Jim, if there's anything you would like to add as well.
So Donald Graham has a special place in all of our hearts. I was there as principal with Shelley and Mike, and I got to firsthand be with them and go through some interesting times as the city was growing. In 2008, we were at the establishment of the incorporation of the city at the high school. So I remember that I still have my pin from more than 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago now. So, and Sammy, also want to congratulate her because she is what we call a legacy employee. Any employee that went to our schools, graduated, and then comes back to serve in the communities that we served, that served her. We call them legacy. They get a cool pin. They're awarded by the board. So look for Sammy's pin when she's out and about. Congratulations. Excellent, excellent work. More than you know.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, actually, full circle moment, right? You guys were giving out, you know, ceremony awards. Guys, congratulations. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Is it just when I cue it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Our next presentation is for somebody who has served this community for more than 20 years in public safety. I'm looking for Officer Roxanne Baca. Do not see her. No. So, Officer Baca, you have served RSO now for 26 years, is that correct? Almost 26 years. You know, and through that time, you've also supported the Explorer program. So you've also impacted a lot of youth within this community. We're so grateful for you. We're sad to see you go. I know tomorrow's a big day. But we have a special surprise for you. So I'm going to ask for everybody to tune to the screen.
Oh, are you kidding me?
And if you would just indulge me for a moment and observe and listen to this surprise that we have for you.
Today we recognize Officer Baca on her retirement after more than 20 years leading the RSO Explorer program. Her leadership, mentorship, and dedication have made a lasting impact on so many young people in our community.
You have been a staple at the station over the years. You will be deeply missed.
And now you get to spend plenty of time with your grandkids and what matters most, your family.
We're going to miss your energy, the way you always rooted for the underdog.
Your presence here is something that we can't replace.
You've been such an important part of the station that everybody's going to remember you and think of you often.
I don't even consider you my friend. I consider you my family now. You're my tia.
just want to thank you. And like I've told you before, I don't call just anyone amiga.
You're nothing but like a great person, and you're always happy and positive.
I want to thank you for everything growing up. I've known you for the past 10 to 12 years, I want to say.
Like I've told you since day one, you were the oil that kept this machine running.
You were always here. Not only for me, but for everybody here. You yelled at all of us all the time to go to training, but your laughter has always filled this station.
Thank you, Officer Baca, for all the hard work you let us put into and for really encouraging us to keep doing our best.
Thank you, Officer Baca, for all that you've done for us.
Thank you, Officer Baca, for everything and for always being supportive.
We are going to miss you, Officer Baca. Thank you so much for everything you've done for this Explorer Post.
Officer Baca, we're going to miss you so much.
You're going to leave us with a huge challenge. How are we going to fill your shoes? You've left us an almost impossible task to find somebody that is as dedicated and as committed as you are. I want to wish you a happy retirement. Go enjoy it. You've earned it.
Congratulations, amiga.
Congratulations, Baca, on your retirement.
So it is my honor and my privilege to present this proclamation to you, to recognize all the time that you've served this community, how much time you've given to us. Been very selfless of you. Go enjoy your retirement, enjoy your grandkids. That's what life's about, and we can't thank you enough. I do want to add, we will be, so RSO, please do not deactivate her email until after tomorrow. We will be providing you with all the footage that we could not condense into that 2-minute presentation. We thought that it was something that, you would love to receive and hear it directly from your colleagues and your peers. So expect an email later tonight. But yeah, congratulations. You guys want to come in for the picture?
Okay. Yes. What's more?
Serrato.
Yeah, come on. Come on,
Serrato.
Come on. Got her. No pressure. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. More. 1, 2. Got it. You guys want me to take pictures with your phone? One more. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Got it. All right.
That's it, right? No more? Okay. Thank you so much. We could just do one more round of applause for everybody that we just recognized. All right. That leads us into department reports. First up, we have Lieutenant Reese to provide us with the Police Department quarterly update.
All right, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City staff. I have here prepared the quarterly stats for January, February, March of this year, 2026. Calls for service for January, we had about 1,426 calls compared to 1,200 last year. For February, we saw 1,400 calls compared to 1,100 last year. And for March, about 1,400 calls compared to about 1,400 calls last year. Arrests, in gray you can see from last year, green in this year. Felony arrests were up in the month of January and February. However, they were down in March. Misdemeanor arrests for the 3 months last year, January was slightly higher for us. However, we made up for it with February and March this year. The 6-month outlook for the aggravated assaults, as you can see, we're down this year compared to last year. We're down robberies. We are slightly down in sex crimes. Unfortunately, we are up right now in homicides. Burglaries, we are slightly up. Larceny or thefts, we are slightly below. And vehicle thefts, we're trending upwards. Our Part 1 violent crimes, aggravated assault, these are going to be your assault with a deadly weapon. Could be a knife, could be a baseball bat, could be a stick. We were down in January compared to last year. In February, we were way down this year compared to last year. And in March, we were even. As you can see, we had no robberies across 3 months. Our sex crimes, we were up in January and we were up in March. We were down in February. Just kind of touching on that a little bit. The 3 calls for service, there were 3 instances happened. They did lead to 3 arrests. So at least those individuals were dealt with. And then no homicides the last 3 months. The Part 1 property crimes. Again, burglary, although we saw it slightly up overall the 6-month period, we were down in January. However, we rose back up in February and March. Of the 14 burglaries for the last 3 months, we saw residential burglaries, businesses, vehicle burglaries, and storage facilities that were hit, as well as 2 schools. Of the 14 burglaries, 6 subjects were arrested. Yeah. The larcenies, we were down in January. However, we were up in February and then back down a little bit in March. When I say larceny and I'm talking about thefts, there are 35 different categories of thefts that goes into this statistic. So when you break it down, the most common ones the city sees are grand theft, which is anything over $950 that's stolen, fraud, shoplifting, and embezzlement. So when we took the statistical analysis for the burglary and the larceny, we were able to determine where the hotspots are that the crime is occurring, the time frame, and we had our investigations and our SET team put together some zero tolerance operations in the areas where we had the hotspots to help combat it. And then vehicle theft. So we were up in January for vehicle theft. We were down in February and we were down in March. I think it's combined 12 vehicle thefts that we had the last 3 months. We actually had 10 of the 12 vehicles recovered and 8 people in custody for those. The average response times for the priority 1, 2, 3, and 4, and again, priority 1 is the most egregious. That is, we need you right now. You're not waiting. Lights and sirens get there. Priority 4 are your lower priority calls for service, usually your landline contacts. As you can see, the priority 1s for January, February, March are pretty good. I would like to see them a little better. And then you can see how they gradually rise between priority 2, 3, all the way to priority 4. I'm sure council's aware that we are back to the old 4 patrol lieutenants. So we have 4 patrol lieutenants covering the 6 shifts, which of course takes time to adjust. Right when we had things dialed in and we were happy with response times, of course, different lieutenants, different philosophies, but I think we're dialing it back in now to where we are seeing the response times get lowered. Traffic collisions. For January, we saw 37, February 31, and March 29. Total citations, 279 in January, 273 in February, 201 in March. And the good news is no fatal collisions over the 3-month period. And your primary collision factors, once again, unsafe speed dominates throughout all 3 months, with unsafe turns coming in second, and then sign violations third. And with that, before I open to any questions, I did want to bring up one thing. Last week I spoke with a resident who was trying to make a call for service reference illegal dumping. Unfortunately, that resident, I'm not going to say was misguided, but was given misinformation. So I just kind of wanted to clear that up right now. Yes, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department does investigate illegal dumping. We take it very serious. We understand it is unsightly. It is dangerous. There could be materials there that are bad for the community and bad for the environment. So I don't want people to think that we are not going to respond and that we're not going to handle the call and investigate it to its fullest. We will. Bottom line is, if we can identify these individuals doing this, we will arrest. So with that, any questions?
Thank you so much for that presentation, Lieutenant.
Good job. So I have a couple for you. So on the traffic citations one, because I know that I had a resident that reached out and showed a graph of how it spiked 1 month, and we have a second motor officer and it's lower. And obviously we don't know. It could be a month where a lot of people got off with a warning, which could be sufficient. So do we have a way in today's world of keeping stats to check the box that says, there was an encounter, but it was a warning or some other thing for people who love stats?
We don't keep statistics of that. We would have to go through the deputies' logs one by one, go through every single stop and figure out who they did cite or did not cite.
I see. Then there was a question. So there's, I believe it's called like RSO Public Access website. Are you familiar with that one? Mm-hmm. So they'll look it up, and so the question was, sometimes it'll come back with address undefined, like something happened to Wildomar, but address undefined. Is there a reason why that happens?
I'm not sure why. I'm not sure.
Okay, because I saw screenshots where that happens frequently. Okay.
Something I could look into for her.
Appreciate it. So one of them is because I'll be on city manager to be on code enforcement about like RVs and whatnot that are in the street, but it's in the street. We're told that's RSO. So if there's a habitual violator that they wait 2 weeks and they bring it back, what's the strategy from your end so that the neighbors know that that particular scofflaw isn't, going to get over on the city or any of the rest of us?
Well, bottom line is, if you have somebody illegally parking a vehicle in the street, we can go out there and we do a 72-hour tag, unless there's some other reason to tow the vehicle immediately, like it's expired for past 6 months or whatever it may be. But normally we tag the vehicle. We basically put a sticker on it that says you have 72 hours to move the vehicle. If it isn't moved in 72 hours, then we're going to come back and tow the vehicle. Now, yes, some people will wait until hour 71, and they'll go out there and move it, and it'll be gone for a week, and they'll put it right back. But bottom line is, repetition counts, and that if that person keeps doing it over and over again, we'll keep going out there over and over again.
Okay, because so then essentially the neighbors would need to re-report it.
Yes.
When it comes back the week later.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, there's that one. And then, let's see. Oh, so one last one. Maybe with the lighter days, the longer days, that at Winsong Park, there's some off-road activity in the park, behind, out the wash and all that. So that might be a good place for somebody to have a coffee break, maybe, over there at 5 o'clock in the evening.
Absolutely.
Just sort of keep an eye on that area.
I can tell you, sir, that after the resident reached out to you, I received the same email. Our traffic team was out in Winsong this whole week, and they cited quite a few vehicles.
Amazing. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed your presentation. Appreciate the questions as well. I got that email also, and so I appreciate you addressing all of that. And then, yeah, I guess I had one question. So you mentioned the 4 patrol lieutenants, and then looking to dial it in. So is there like a goal for our priority 1?
It's basically my personal goal.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see a priority 1 under 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. Under 6 minutes would be my goal. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I noticed on a few of the slides there was an increase this year over last year. In your opinion, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And I know that sounds like a weird question, but you can look at it 2 different ways. From my standpoint, we're catching more people, or there's more people committing crimes. How do you look at that?
Usually, as the city is growing, getting bigger, and you're getting more people in, you're going to see more calls for service.
Fair. Okay. Cool. That was it. Thank you. That's a great presentation.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Next, I'd like to call up Chief Dustin Reed for the Fire Department quarterly update.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, staff. How are you guys? Tonight we'll be going over your quarterly stats from January to March. As always, we'll go over the incident statistics, locations, auto aid, and the Office of the Fire Marshal. So the City of Wildomar, we ran a total of 1,081 calls during the last 3 months at a 4.8 minute average response time, which is under the NFPA 1710 5-minute response time. So we're doing well there. Of those 1,081 calls, you had 73 false alarms, 846 medical aids, 36 public service assist, 72 traffic collisions, and 1 wildland fire. Station 61 ran 743 calls, which is up about 70 calls from quarter 4. Station 94, Canyon Hills, ran in a total of 33 times. Menifee ran in a total of 91 times. And Temecula, Station 73, ran in a total of 3 times. This gives you a graph of where the current calls are happening. Your auto aid. So Wildomar assisted the City of Murrieta a total of 5 times. Murrieta assisted the City of Wildomar a total of 4 times. Assistance given to the City of Lake Elsinore 44 times, and assistance received, City of Lake Elsinore 33 times, City of Menifee 91 times, and City of Temecula a total of 3 times. As always, the Office of the Fire Marshal did 135 plan reviews, and they met their goals of a 10-day average turnaround time. And the fire inspections were 156 inspections complete with 100% average 2-day turnaround time, so we are meeting our goals. A couple updates. Station 61, our fire department, attended the Lake Elsinore Firefighters Barbecue and raised a total of $1,000 for the Burn Foundation, so we're very proud of them. And then congratulations to the City of Wildomar. They are one of 5 cities in Riverside County thus far to get their fire risk reduction community list, so congratulations to you guys.
Nice.
This achievement reflects the city's continued commitment to wildfire preparedness, public safety, and proactive fire prevention planning that helps protect residents, businesses, and surrounding communities. And I'll read a few of the things that it helps. So it's going to support ongoing community resilience, defensible space efforts, vegetation management, and emergency preparedness initiatives. It demonstrates the city's commitment to reducing wildfire risk within the state responsibility area, the SRA, and very high fire hazard severity zones, which has obviously been a hot topic the past few years. It increased competitiveness and prioritization opportunities for CAL FIRE wildfire prevention grant funding application, which we will look at, and may positively impact residential insurance considerations under the California Department of Insurance Safer from Wildfire Regulations. So congratulations to you all.
Nice.
And with that, I'll take any questions you guys may have.
Not so much a question, but I want to thank you because also CAL FIRE came to the Earth Day event that we had at Margaret Bryan Park. So I want to thank you for that too.
Of course.
Well, thank you. That's great news. Hopefully we can all get some lower insurance rates.
That's the plan.
Yeah, I second that. I'm going to call in tomorrow. See what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that great presentation, Chief.
Thank you.
All right. And next up, we have an update from the Wildomar Library.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff, everybody that came. This is for the first quarter of 2026. Community services. Library is more than books. Computer sessions, we had 1,480 computer sessions through the quarter. You can see underneath it broken down to the different months. Wi-Fi sessions, 3,926. And reference questions, 2,722. Those are where the staff directly assisted someone in questions, computer help, using equipment, just general not being the internet. The type of things that separate the library from the internet. For those that like to say the internet is going to replace libraries.
It's like a good book, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think the library's going to go away. I like having the smell of a nice book.
Well, and we have the digital too. We have the downloadable movies. We're more than just books. State park passes. You can get out, touch grass. Okay, library use. Our service hours, we had 545 service hours through the quarter. Library visitors, we had 13,800 people come through our doors. New library accounts, we had 271 new library cards issued. A new thing that I've added, community room outside use, we had 28. That is outside organizations using our library space as a community meeting and educational location. Totally separate from our own programs. And we get to programs. Children and family programs for the quarter, we had 31 programs with 761 people attending. Bilingual, we had 11 programs with 386 people attending. Teen programs, we had 18 programs with 86 attending, which is really hard to get the teens in. So we're kind of proud of that one. Adults, we had 31 adult programs and with 415 people attending. Circulation, what we're known for. In children, we had 12,187 items circulate. In the teen items, we had 984, and adult items, we had 4,204 items circulate through the quarter. And if there are any questions, this is how you can stay in touch with us. In addition, just calling us. Visit. Any questions?
And then on Earth Day, so we had volunteers over at the library, and they helped plant a community garden and a butterfly garden. And it's mobile for now because the library will be expanding, and so it will be moved to the Lakeland Village, I believe.
Yes.
School.
We have a new home. We have a temporary home for it at Lakeland Village. So because of our expansion, we have made the programs for, as she said, temporary movable gardens. So our programs are shifting to pot gardens, things that renters, things that apartment dwellers can raise their own food, their own flowers, pollinator gardens, help the bees out. So our programming until we get back to a permanent location
Is mobile.
is mobile.
Right. But they are looking for volunteers. So if anyone wants to help, they keep their garden going and watering and checking on it, picking weeds, they need help at the library.
Yeah, and feel free anytime you're at the library to walk back, take a look, see how they're doing. Some of the insects are good and some of the insects are bad, so we ask you not to pick insects off the plants. But if you want to let us know, we'll go out and take a look and find out if it is good or bad. We are trying to do it as much organically as possible.
Right.
And we start our summer reading adventure June 8th.
Awesome.
For a 6-week program.
So I had a question. If you could give just a real brief update on the expansion you mentioned and or remodel. We know it's ways off a little bit, but maybe part of the community has not even heard that that's in the future.
Yes, right now they're projecting it'll be around 2,400 square feet expansion. It's going to be expanded off the north side of the building. What is planned is 2 small meeting rooms and a dedicated children's area. So the kids will now be set aside. They won't be with everyone coming in and doing the copier goodies. So that is the primary. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary this July, the library building. So there will be upgrades in the furniture and the shelving. Will be all spiffy when it's done. So you'll have a new spiffy library.
I was at the grand opening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we right now they're in design stage. The designers have been contracted. They're working. In fact, I had a view of some of the furniture this morning in the meeting. So that is progressing. I do not have any new estimates other than the last one I was given was very general, late in 2026, when they might start being working on the building. But late in 2025, or early in 2025, they said late 2025 it would be. So as you know, for how approvals work for designs and all that kind of construction safety overlook, it may be a little longer than that. But that's the word currently is late in 2026. That's what we're working with.
All right. Any other questions up here on the dais? Comments?
Nope, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sandra.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. All right. We'll now be moving on to public comments. This is the time when the City Council receives general public comments regarding any items or matters within the jurisdiction that do not appear on the agenda. Per the Brown Act, the City Council members are not allowed to respond to public comments not on the agenda. City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, we do. We'll call on Annabelle Walter and Stella McLaren, and they are from the Wildomar School.
We've got a celebrity in the house.
Yeah, I met your parents last Earth Day.
Hi. Hi, my name is Annabelle Walter, and I'm a 4th grader at Wildomar Elementary School. I'm here because I want to tell you something really special to our school, our bell tower. Our bell tower is the original cast iron bell from the very first Wildomar schoolhouse, which means it has been part of Wildomar for a really long time. Even though the old wooden schoolhouse is gone, the bell was saved and now stands in the front of our school in its own tower. To us Tiger Cubs, it's not just an old bell, it's a piece of Wildomar's story. A long time ago, the school was a place where people came together for dances, plays, meetings, and special events. When the tower was built, people in the community helped pay for to honor pioneer families like the Howells, Turners, and Browns. That makes it kind of like the heart of our school. Every June, our 5th graders get to ring the bell when they promote to middle school. I've heard it's something they'll never forget. Since I'll be a 5th grader next year, I'm already excited for my turn. Our bell is special to the whole community because it has been part of Wildomar's birthday celebrations and other important city events. But right now, our tower needs some love. It's kind of hidden. Big power lines, bright yellow cable covers, a wooden pole, and a huge pepper tree that makes it hard to see. And that makes me sad because something this important should shine. I was thinking maybe we could find a way to fix it with the help of our beautification team and other community members. I was thinking maybe a little courtyard with benches where students, families, and visitors could sit and enjoy it. We could add signs and pictures with stories of the old school so everyone could learn about Wildomar's history. And wouldn't it be amazing if we added solar lights to the bell so it could glow at night? Maybe we could also trim the trees or work together to move the power lines so people can finally see how special it is. Wildomar is growing, and I think with so many beautiful improvements, especially right by our school on Palomar Road, I think our bell tower should shine right along with it. This bell has been part of Wildomar since 1886. That's a lot of history. I think it deserves to be protected. And for many more years, I'm proud to be a Wildomar Tiger Cub, and I hope you'll help us make our bell tower beautiful again, so it can remind everyone where Wildomar began. Thank you so much for letting me speak here today, and thank you for caring about our school and city.
I just want to say, Mr. Hoffman, clearly you guys are doing a fantastic job at Wildomar Elementary School, so thank you so much.
We got the deputy superintendent back there too. Hope he was taking some notes. All right.
Hi, my name is Stella. Some of you know I've been here before. I spoke about adding a fascinating history museum. After that, I started researching. I've been researching Wildomar's history. I've learned that Wildomar was a very nice place back then. Also, did you know Montague Brothers were called Wildomar Store? It sold things like milkshakes, medicine, and burgers. It was also a beauty salon. That building has been around since forever. It's been through many adventures like me researching. Did you guys know this? Wildomar stands for William, Donald, and Margaret. Do you guys get it? Those people are named after some of our elementary schools in our town, like William Collier and Donald Graham, as well as Donald's wife, Margaret. They are the three founders of Wildomar in Lake Elsinore in the 1880s. She was successful in real estate and an accomplished writer, as well as one of the first women rights advocates. Here's another thing that's super cool, is that David A. Brown, the middle school, was named after a guy who lived in a Wildomar in a historical house. Aren't those facts cool? Now that that's out of the way, here's some things about me. I'm in the 3rd grade. I go to the best school called Wildomar Elementary. I speak at a lot of events like West Talent Show and here. I'm also so thankful to be here, and there's some people who made this happen, and that was Miss Bridget Moore, my family, and my teacher, Miss Walter, and my school. That's all for today.
At the risk of breaking the Brown Act, let me let Stella know that Margaret also gets recognition in the city. Margaret Lane is a street with a light, Wildomar Trail by Kaiser, so you can put that in your notes too.
Yeah.
Great job, ladies. Great job.
The next public speaker is Bonnie Martlin from Temecula Valley Symphony.
How do I follow that? My goodness. Well, good evening. My name is, as you said, is Bonnie Martlin, and I want to thank the mayor and the city council for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm a relatively new resident of Wildomar, having moved here just about 2 years ago. And I have become active in the Wildomar Historical Society and have met several council members, Bridget and Ashley, at several historic events, though you may not recognize me not dressed in 19th century attire. I think maybe you last saw me play Margaret Moore at last year's Wildomar Bell ceremony for the city birthday. I'm also a historical commissioner for Riverside County's 3rd District, which represents Wildomar. But today this evening I'm here as a member of the board for the Temecula Valley Symphony. I've discovered that many local residents in Wildomar and surrounding communities don't know about the symphony and what it offers. We have about 60 musicians, and we do 4 full concerts a year. It used to be 5, but money is tight. So I would like to invite all of you to our upcoming concert next Sunday. It's at 4 o'clock at the Temecula Valley High School. We do meet and do concerts in other places in Murrieta and so on. But the afternoon at Temecula on Sunday is a classical music featuring timeless classics, Dvorak's New World Symphony and Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. So very familiar pieces of music. We also have Gilda Concerto for cello and wind orchestra. Now, I know many of you have heard some of these pieces, especially the New World Symphony and, of course, the guns and cannons for the 1812 Overture. But if you haven't heard them in person, you know, I know we have recordings and seen them on TV and so on, but if you haven't heard them in person, you should come to the concert. It's an opportunity really you shouldn't miss. We are a nonprofit entity that also has a youth symphony, so I wanted to know that. Since its inception in 1999, the symphony has grown and expanded into one of the best cultural attractions in our region. The Inland Empire magazine voted Temecula Valley Symphony one of the best live entertainment values in the Inland Empire. And people in our area no longer have to go to Orange County or San Diego to hear, high-quality music and performances. Some symphonies have the air of a very upper-class, stuffy organization. Wildomar is not that kind of city, and the symphony is not that kind of organization, so I want you to know that. John Mario, our conductor, John Mario Di Costanzo, interacts with the audience quite often. He'll tell stories or tell you about the music or the composer. And he also interacts sometimes with his musicians. Especially, he interacts with our musician in residence, who is Ruslan Biryakov. He does that especially when he wears his gold sequined jacket. The production cost of each concert is about $5,000, and ticket sales only cover a tiny bit of that, or small portion of that. So if anybody knows anybody that would be interested in sponsoring the symphony as an organization or an individual, please let me know. And if anyone knows of a facility where we might practice or perform, please let me know that as well. You can also go on the TV, the Temecula Valley Symphony website, for information on how to buy tickets, to volunteer, or to help in any way you can. And also, I have flyers at the back table, and I think each of you guys have one with information about Sunday's concert. So thank you for letting me speak this evening, and I hope to see at least some of you at Sunday's performance. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Robertson.
I'm Karen Robertson, and I have lived in Wildomar for 36 years on the corner of Grand and Claremont. And I want to thank Carlos and the city manager for clarifying the mishap regarding the setbacks and so forth. I was prepared to come with guns a-blazing, but I will not do that. I accept your apology, and I look forward to being on a list of people who would be qualified to get that information. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Next up, we have Ann Keegans, and she has donated time from Barry Robertson.
Hi, I'm back. Still going to be a thorn in your side, and I really appreciate you acknowledging what a cluster the discovery of what happened with the general plan in 2024. But that being said, I just keep getting madder as the full ramifications of these setbacks come into focus. I want the setbacks removed, not years down the road, now. At the planning meeting on May 6th, I gave a satirical scenario about comparing people with pools being prevented, actually in code violation if they had water in their pools due to California's ongoing drought. At least that would have been a reasonable excuse. We got no reason. Statistically speaking, many more people are hurt and die because of swimming pools than horses getting loose on a roadway. We have had drunk drivers run through our horse corral fences, but the horses had enough sense to stay in their areas, even with the fences demolished. Temecula embraces its equine community, in fact spends a lot of time, money, and energy to showcase it. I don't have service here, but I was going to pull up a Facebook post from Rancho Water where they are telling all the equestrians that their trails are back open from the construction. They spend a lot of money on that trail for the equestrians. Wildomar has right in the middle of the city Murrieta Creek. It could be developed into a beautiful equestrian trail that is safe to utilize. It could be all the way to the Lake Elsinore Levee. The multiple-use trail along Grand Avenue is not safe for equestrians due to heavy traffic and speeding cars. Many people comment on how beautiful my neighborhood is. The large lot with white fences, not block walls, peacefully grazing horses, beautiful ranch-style homes. They have no idea how much time and money are required to maintain these homes. Our properties enhance the city. Why were we singled out and persecuted for adding beauty and desirability to the city? With horses come prestige and desired rural living. For example, Temecula's Meadowview and Wine Country, La Cresta, Fallbrook, Norco, Nellie Gale. In the South Bay, Rolling Hills Estates, Palos Verdes Estates, all valued because of their horse properties. I now do not trust my city representatives. I retired so I could play with my horses, but now I must have a job, non-paying, to police every move to make sure no more of my property rights are silently ripped away. My neighbors have been in this valley since the 60s. She's a retired Murrieta school teacher, and her husband's a retired Murrieta firefighter. 36 years ago, they sold their Murrieta property and bought their beautiful home in Wildomar. They have always had horses at this property. Now, due to the setbacks that are still in effect today, that were made without their knowledge, their 2-acre property, which has the bad luck to be on a corner, can no longer effectively house horses. A lot fewer neighbor complaints would be made if dogs were required to be 20 feet from any property line and 100 feet from any roadway. Dogs at large are a constant road hazard. When was the last time you heard about a loose horse on the roadway? Before my husband and I bought our home in Wildomar, we knew we wanted horses at home, so first we looked at Temecula and Murrieta, both known and loved for their horse country, but 5- and 10-acre minimum lots were too big. Wildomar was just right, and we paid a premium for our property because the whole tract was developed for horses and sold as Wildomar Estates. I'm now scheduling a real estate appraisal to assess how much my property value has degraded due to these imposed setbacks. There should be a big warning sign that says, if you have horses, do not buy in Wildomar. The only excuse I've heard for these profound negative changes to rural property use regarding the setbacks and proposed animal number limits was to put Wildomar in line with Riverside. I don't want to live in Riverside. I want to continue to live in Wildomar, where I used to be able to have my horses on my just right small acreage in large paddocks and pastures that I have maintained and paid taxes on for 30 years, and not cruelly confine my 1,000-pound animals in 12-by-12 metal corrals on my back porch. This is like you being forced to live 24/7 in your bathroom. I may be just an old horse-crazy lady who is making a big deal out of this, but we are big losers because of this. I'm fairly intelligent, and I don't think for a second that the sneaky way the setbacks and proposed horse number limits were slipped in, they will not try to be snuck back in when next no one is paying attention. There should have been concerted outreach to bring in Wildomar equestrians because this is a bad deal for us, and we had no input. I only knew because my neighbor, Don Saunders, because he pays attention and downloads 400-page documents, he notified me right before the April 22nd meeting and said I had better get to the meeting because this was going to be voted on. None of my neighbors knew. So I posted on Wildomar Local social media page about these setbacks and additional nail-in-our-coffin proposals, asking the question, who knew? I had almost 60 people respond. Out of the people who responded on that one social media page, only one knew about it. One lady who said she only knew because she worked with animal control. How can you say this was worked on for 2 years with many community meetings and workshops, but only one person in the community knew about it? We equestrians are now put in the horrible position and forced to defend ourselves, even seek and be ready with legal counsel when these setbacks are enforced. The General Plan 17.205.030-1 have so reduced usability of our land that we are left in limbo, waiting for the day when code enforcement will come knocking. 3 horses on the Wildomar seal is now insulting to me. It completely misleads people to think that Wildomar loves and advocates for horses, when in fact the opposite is true. Everything is being done to run us out. It is a slap in the face to all equestrians because you have singled us out and made it practically impossible to have horses on our rural property. What the seal should say is horses keep out. I'll end with what I started with. I want the setbacks and animal restrictions rescinded now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ann, for continuing to engage. City Clerk, are there any additional public comments?
Next up, we have Jada Thornton.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jared Thornton. I have lived in Wildomar for 25 years, and I've been a homeowner in Wildomar for 24 years. I agree with everything the previous speaker said, and I am not going to repeat any of it because I'm here for a completely different problem. Mine's personal. I have been doing the same thing with my property since I've been there. And animal control and 3 code enforcement officers showed up at my home last week, and I was completely blindsided with what I was told. I have 2 lots, one with a mobile home, one next to it, adjacent. They're fenced in together. I bought them that way. I've been using them as one yard the entire time that I've been there. The people that own the home before me used them that way as well. And the people that set the mobile home there and put the fence up to begin with were using it that way. Now I'm being told I cannot use that other lot because it's considered a vacant lot. And in response to that, I was told that because I can't use it, I can't do certain things I'm doing right now, and which means that I'm going to have to change my way. They even suggested putting a fence between the 2 lots to keep my dogs from roaming over on the vacant lot.
You own another lot?
Pardon? I own both lots. I've always had more than 4 dogs because I have 2 properties. Our Animal Friends of the Valley has licensed dogs to both properties in the past. I'm not going to lie. I have 7 dogs right now, and only 4 of them are licensed. I am guilty of that. But now I'm being told I cannot have any extra dogs, licensed or not, because I cannot use that other lot. So I don't know what to do, where to turn. I do not want to change what I'm doing if I don't have to. My livestock, my donkeys, if I have to, I own another property in Adelanto that I plan to retire on. If I have to, I can take my livestock to that property. But I do not want to get rid of any of my dogs. My dogs are my family. And all but one of these dogs are rescues. And 2 of them came from Animal Friends of the Valley. They're like my children. I don't really want to send the donkeys to Adelanto either. And right now I can't because I'm under constraints for treating them with animal control anyway. So what I'm asking for is, where can I turn? What kind of help can I get so that I can continue doing what I've been doing for 24 years? Thank you.
Ma'am, you gave your info to the city clerk? Mm-hmm. Your info's in the, okay.
Next up, we have Chance Edmondson, EVMWD.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, Chance Edmondson, Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District. Glad to be here with you tonight. I'll try to be brief. Just wanted to update you on some projects we have going on. Want to thank everybody for coming out last Saturday. We had 1,600 people show up at our Splash into Spring event. I would like to think they were there for us, but we had in and out there, and I think that drew a big number, but we had lines around the block, so it was a good turnout. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. A couple of big key projects we have going on. Just as a brief overview, we are facing some capacity issues. We are almost at our limits, and it can affect things. And we have a 2-year timeline to get our new sewer lift station that's being built by the Ball Diamond that's going in, $75 million. And in order to get that lift station up and running, we have to run new sewer line down Mission Trail. So that work started last week. So I just want to let the residents know that from Malaga, just south of Sedco Boulevard, which is about a mile stretch, we're going to start that project. It'll be running for the next several months. I apologize. I drive it 5 times a day myself. Mission Trail is going to be busy, and we're putting in that new sewer line. But I can assure you that it's necessary to keep Wildomar in growth, and we need that sewer line in. That's phase 1. Phase 2's in design right now, and that'll start about 6 months after that. So we have about 2 years to get this sewer line installed. I live here. I've lived here my whole life. I'm dreading the traffic, and it's going to be an inconvenience, but we will go as quick as possible and inconvenience the public as much as possible, but we desperately need these lines in. Also, as you're aware, we have about 900 homes being converted from septic to sewer, about 600 in Sedco here, Hills here, and then another 300 in Elsinore at the Avenues. So those projects are going on. 2 other quick things to just update you on. Our 311 app is available on the Google App Store and the Apple Play Store. You can download this app or you can get it from our website. If the public sees any leaky valves or leaky fire hydrants, or you see something, smell something that just seems off in the water or sewer industry, you can contact us through that app. You can do it anonymously, or you can let us know who you are. We've had it launched for about 5 months, and we've had thousands of hits on it already. It's a good way for you and the public to let us know if you see something out there that's not right. And I'll close with this. We just initiated a new CAP program. This is a crisis assistance program. So if you lost your job, or you've had a death of a loved one, or you've had some financial setback, you can reach out to us, and we have a program now that's funded outside of ratepayer money that we can help you with your water and sewer bill. You only use it once every 2 years, but it is available, and it's a new program. Thank you for your time.
Kate Delos Reyes.
Good evening, Wildomar. Hi, guys. My name is Kate. I work at the Tres Lagos Apartments, literally like 5 minutes away from here. I am the program coordinator for a nonprofit called CARE. It stands for Communities Advocating for Resident Empowerment. I essentially wanted to introduce myself. So the Tres Lagos Apartments houses all of the residents are low income, and they are able to stay there through Section 8 housing or through vouchers such as like No Place Like Home. A lot of families live there. Even a huge portion are actually transitioning from homelessness. So I am here to let everyone know about a food drive that we are having on June 5th. We are requesting everything, non-perishables, obviously, canned goods, but also at the same time, like, they do also deserve fresh produce. So fresh produce is definitely needed the most. So that is something we are requesting as well. I don't know where I can leave these or who I should give this to. And then also I also came here to try to network with like local organizations and stuff. I have been to the Wildomar Library. Shout out Wildomar Library. Dude, there's so many incredible resources there, and so maybe we can connect. I did also recommend, I believe I recommended CAP to a few of my residents as well, so thank you for that. And then also I did recommend Animal Friends of the Valleys, because we have a lot of dog owners at the Tres Lagos Apartments. I am very, very passionate. Honestly, crazy. This is the best job that I've ever had. I've always wanted to help people, and to see the difference in like the difference that I make within my community, to see it firsthand, it means so much to me. And so if anybody else, any other organizations would like to connect, I would appreciate anything that you are, willing to collaborate on. And yeah, that's it. Again, my name is Kate De Los Reyes. If you want a poster for the food drive, the summer months are really hard because a lot of school, a lot of kids get free food from schools, but when summer is out, obviously they don't have access to that. So yes, I also have my business card if anybody would like to connect with me. And yeah, thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Kate,
Kate, if you can come back, please.
Can you, I'll trade you my card right here.
And then can you leave me a card as well? Yes. Are there any other programs you're going to be instituting over there? Maybe the night?
I would like to host, I'm trying to do a bunch of drives, so clothing drive, even like a pet drive. Everyone gets a card. You get a card.
Hey,
you
thanks.
get a card.
I really like her energy.
I know.
I'm a Libra, so thanks.
All right.
Get one.
Thank you.
And remember, come get your card from me.
Yes.
I don't have any cards on me. Why would I?
Or send an email.
Thank you so much.
Take one, pass it down. Yeah.
There are no other public comments for items that are on the agenda.
Thank you, City Clerk. All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You guys beat me to the punch today. Dang it.
Motion
All right.
carries 5-0.
So now we're going to be moving on to the consent calendar. City Clerk, are there any public comments on the consent calendar items?
Yes, we do. Gina Castanon, item 1.8.
And I'd like to pull 119.
We'll get to the poll.
Okay.
Comments?
I made a mistake. It's 1.9 that I want to speak on. So,
0.9 it is.
good evening. My name is Gina Castanon, and I want to congratulate the retirees from Elsinore. We had some other older retirees. Oh, the one still sitting here is my husband, Ruben, from Elsinore High School all those years ago. And for the little students that were here, how cute, huh? So Bridget and I know all about the tower, what nonprofit were we on when we fixed that. And so I'd like to help in any assistance, but we know that it's the school district's responsibility to do that. So, but anyway, good luck with that. I had a question reading over the agenda real quick, the 1.9, and it said, and that's why I want clarification, this is the lighting and maintenance zone, and it says all zones citywide. Now, my understanding is when new development comes in and the lights have to come in and the sidewalks and trails, and I'm usually involved with a lot of those things, come in, the HOAs pay it. That's why, when you come to Wildomar, if you live in a tract and you purchase it, you're going to pay HOA. And part of that is the maintenance. So all zones, for us people that live in the rural residential area, back in the day, why would we pay for that? And then it's all zones. It's not on my tax bill yet, but would it be on my tax bill? And let's see. When we became a city, which full disclosure, I was on the committee that made Wildomar a city along with Bridget. We told the people that it would go to a vote if we're taxed on anything. So this being in the detail packet, it's just like what what happened with the Planning Commission. And I'm going to just throw some shade that would have passed if that hadn't come to Bridget's attention and some other people's attention and it wasn't pulled and people didn't see it, that would have passed. And why would we, after just approving a general map plan for 2024, And we got rid of a lot of RR zones in that, but calling them big lots and reducing our ability to have animals. You know, why are we doing it, reducing it more? So, but anyway, I want to know, does everyone have to pay now for all the new development that's come in, for the maintenance and the lighting that's going on through Wildomar? Because I know you guys maintain it, correct? So, thank you.
Thank you, Gina. And just a point of clarity, it looks like we can have our Public Works Director answer.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm happy to answer that. This item only applies to the properties that are within the LLMD 89-1-C. So that maintenance district is a landscape and lighting maintenance district that was established by the county prior to the city's incorporation. It only includes very specific developments that were required to join that maintenance district when they were developed and constructed. So attachment A to the staff report is a map that shows all of the zones within the district. So the district is a citywide district, and it includes multiple zones throughout different locations in the city, but it does not apply to all properties in the city. It only applies to the properties that were annexed into the district when the properties developed. So this does not apply to everyone in the city, only to those who are receiving the benefits. To answer the question about maintenance, typically public infrastructure is maintained by the city. So street lights, public landscaping, storm drains, street improvements are typically maintained by city forces unless there's a separate maintenance agreement between the city and the HOA. These assessments, whether it's an LLMD or a CSA or a CFD, go towards offsetting the new maintenance costs that the city inherits when a new development constructs. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any other questions or clarify any.
Is this already on their property taxes?
Correct.
So the people that this affects, it's already been affecting.
Correct.
And it's already on their property taxes.
Correct. And this is
not going to see anything.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is a routine item that we bring to the council annually. So this is the first step in the process to set the assessments for the following fiscal year. This will be brought forward to a public hearing again following if the item is approved today. But correct, this will only be on the tax rolls for those people within the maintenance districts. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jason, for that answer. Heidi, do we have any other public comment?
We do. Brian Acosta, item 1.17, Mission Hills Wildomar project.
Good evening. I'm not going to have the energy as she did, but do my best.
Pass the cards out.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. Like she said, I'm just going to speak a little bit on the Mission Hills Wildomar project. A little bit about myself. My name's Brian. I was born and raised in Long Beach, Lakewood area. I am familiar with the chaos of busy cities. I also grew up, in a rural aspect. On vacation or summers with family. In 2021, my wife and I were finally able to purchase our first home, and we chose Wildomar. We chose it here for the rural environment and the small community that it's known for. We chose it here to get away from the busy city and forego our dreams of being able to have space and livestock. We knew that this was the place where we wanted to spend the rest of our days, instilling those key small town values into our daughter and our future grandchildren. I'm here before you regarding item 1.17. My home is in the community where the red tile roofs are, where the proposed site is for this community to go in. Forgive me, I'm new to this. Maybe I'm a step behind, but I'm wanted to give you my input on this as a whole. All the homes in that tract and the majority of the surrounding area are half an acre or more. Mine, half an acre. And the vast majority of residents having animals throughout that entire community, just like everyone's been speaking of. As I see it, the 51 residential unit project that's being proposed, and today you're supposed to look at the environmental rights and stuff and, getting that going. I know I can speak for myself and vast majority of people in the community that this is not the route we want our city taken. Why are we going to take and plant 51 homes in that small little spot, and infringe upon what our community is known for. We should be taking that area and expanding on the half-acre spots, putting back in what the rural community is. Giving the new generations a place to learn the special values that a rural and small town can give. I understand that our city is obligated to build a certain amount of low-income housing and so on, but we can ask that additional housing projects be proposed to be structured more towards our city's rural livestock and small town lifestyle. I can guarantee you there are more people like myself that would love to come to a community like this, to have a decent-sized property with ample space between them and their neighbors and live in a small town environment. We know as residents these changes are coming to our city with the ever-evolving world we live in, and we aren't going to be able to ward off all of them. So just please, for future, this project in future, let's look at maybe more of a rural standpoint. We know it's coming, but maybe we can not pack so much in. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Robert, I know Abdu's listed as presenter for this item.
I can address that item. Just a point of clarification. So the item before council today is somewhat of a routine item. We do have an application on that property. It is for 51 lots. They are invoking statutory law under the density bonus item, so it is increasing the density from the base density that's allowed in a rural environment. However, the item before you today is more on the environmental side of things, so the project is still in process. It's not here to be discussed, or a determination on the project is not requested. More so approval from council to enter into a tri-party agreement in order for the applicant to be able to fund the environmental process and the environmental preparation for when that project does in the future come before Planning Commission and or City Council.
I ask a question when you're ready.
Yeah, I know Bridget had some questions for this.
Right.
You want to hold it
Okay.
until we pull it? So this item will be pulled, Brian, so we're going to be discussing this item more before we dive deeper into this. Before I ask for approval of the consent calendar, though, there are some items that we do want to pull. So I know I'd like to pull item 111, item 119. Councilmember Moore, I believe you want to pull item 117.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore, Brito, I believe you also want to pull and discuss item 119. Are there any other items from consent calendar that members up here on the dais would like to discuss? No? And if not, then I move for approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
All right.
With
All in favor,
those
say aye.
removes?
With those removes that we can discuss. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. And I guess we could just go in chronological order. So I think that starts with 111.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to invite our principal engineer, Carlos Geronimo, who's the project manager for this project, to present this staff report.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, and staff and residents. Carlos Geronimo, principal engineer. So I'm happy to answer any questions about this item that you may have.
Yeah, so specifically, I'd just like a quick update, and really the question that I have around this is, what is the timeline for the Bundy Phase 2 widening? Knowing that we just repaved, and I just want to give Cameron, big, huge kudos on leading that charge, the project management on that. It feels amazing to be driving through Bundy Canyon right now.
You mean Cameron or Jason Momoa? Stud back there.
That's really the question that I have for this item.
Sure, happy to answer your question. So first of all, on the timeline, so this item before you, item 111, is for the award of construction management to Accenture. They are going to provide construction management, inspection, and administration of the project during construction. So they'll be starting right away to look at the project plans and the specifications just to get it ready for bidding. We plan to bid this project tentatively right now around August of this year. And that bidding and award process takes about 3 months. So somewhere August and possibly November is when we are going to award the project. So actual construction of the project won't start until sometime in January or February, actually breaking ground.
Nice.
For that, they'll have to do submittals and mobilizations and things like that. So, and the project timeline right now is between 18 to 22 months or 16 to 22 months.
Starting in January?
Starting in January, right, when
or
we start breaking ground. And that's because we have a lot of utility relocations happening that some of them are outside of our control, and we have to coordinate a lot with utility owners, and sometimes they have their own timelines. But that's why we have the construction manager to help us, work through that. Once we have the contractor on board, then we should be able to have a better timeline.
And part of that is not just because it's widening. I'm just saying this for the public. It's just, correct me if I'm wrong. It's not. We're not just making it wider. We're making it wider, but we're also like turning the whole road, making it more straight. We have to move utilities, pipes, and underground things, right?
Yeah, we're
So you're talking about
realigning the roadway.
realignment, right?
Yeah, the realignment. Yeah.
Yep. Some of the curves are not standard, so we have to make it compliant with current guidelines and standards.
All right.
And Mayor, if I can add to that, so where that puts us at a potential project end date would be early 2029, assuming the further end of that schedule, 22 months. So just to give the community a realistic sense of how long this might take.
Buttery Canyon.
Thank you so much, Jason. Are there any other questions or comments on this item?
Yeah, just to reconfirm, you said once the construction starts, you're looking at 16 to 22 months? Was that?
Correct.
And obviously, we're hoping for the best, but we've seen just, our experience here that projects end up hitting snags that were unforeseen. And we know that's a big engineering thing because the realignment, also the grade changes and whatnot. So if you guys drive that road, I'd already start trying to figure out other ways around it. It's going to be a long time.
Thank you so much, Carlos. All right. I think that brings us to 117.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I had asked to pull this item. And thank you, Mr. Acosta, for coming to speak tonight. I, too, have concerns about this project. Now, they're applying under SB 330?
They have applied under SB 330 and also density bonus law.
So, Mr. Acosta, if you'd like to meet, I could come to your house. We could do a neighborhood chat or a coffee. They call them coffee clutch. So if a developer applies under SB 330, then and a density bonus law, that's why you're seeing the increase of the 51 homes on that small piece of property. And that's something that's a state law. And so if it was approved, it has not been approved yet. If it was to be approved, which is also, we can't deny it basically. So you say approval, but we really can't deny it, or the city could get fined. I think personally there's another law out there that we could also then be fined if we did anything to delay this project at all, because he is applying under that state law. But like I said, if you want, we could come to your home. We could set up a coffee clutch for your neighbors, because I know this is a concern. Another neighbor of yours also reached out to me. But I don't understand how the model is going to work either with having attached ADUs. I think that's a real concern. We're waiting for the state to see. They have to approve this, and so we're waiting for the state to see if they're going to approve it. But that's why I wanted to pull it tonight, so that I didn't want the residents to think it was already a done deal, and it's not.
If I may add, so today the item is for a tri-party agreement which would address the environmental side of a project that every project has to go through. Project will be noticed, will be given ample time for public engagement, public participation. It will go to a public hearing, so that's where the opportunity for the public to provide input. But staff is also available, along with the council member, to provide any information or provide any updates and discuss some of the concerns that we can take in and try to address as we go through the process. Well.
So I understand what Bridget was saying, and just to reiterate, because this falls into the same proposition law, whatever you want to call it, from Tres Lagos, right?
Well, it's
similar to?
Similar. It's
Okay.
SB 330.
Which makes it basically out of our hands, where they can build by right almost?
So
Almost.
they're invoking SB 330 and density bonus law, where Tres Lagos was SB 330 and SB 35,
Yeah.
which would make it a ministerial approval. That's what that process that went through. But there's similar provisions and similar housing laws that they're invoking. So yes, as the council member said, there are some limitations we have under these housing laws, and we are following the process to ensure that the city complies with state requirements. But we're also working with the applicant to ensure that we try to address a lot of the concerns that we've heard in order for us to, if the project does move forward and must be approved, and we have limitations, we can at least address as many of the concerns as we can during the process.
And I hope they listen, but, you know, we've seen, so we can ask all we want, but under SB 35, they don't have to do any of the things we request. So it's really different when a private developer comes in. Yes, we say build a park, improve the streets, build a brand new water channel on McVicker, right? And they will do that. But when a developer comes into town and they're applying under SB 35 or SB 330, yeah, we can ask, but they're going to probably say no. I mean, I hope this applicant's different. I don't know. I have not met him. Or no, I take that back. I might have met with him. I think I did meet with him at a boat coffee.
I will say the applicant has been receptive to a lot of the requests we have, and under the statutory requirements that we have to follow, there are some limitations, but we are working with them, and they have been working with us to try to accommodate as much as possible. But under density bonus law, there's also incentives, waivers, and things of that nature that they can apply for in order to make the project work. And they have the ability to do that, but they're trying to limit that and minimize as much as possible to reduce the impact to the community.
I met with the other developer that's doing SB 330 on Palomar and Wesley.
Same situation.
Same situation, but I've not met with this current developer.
Yeah.
So just back to that real quick. So if you have vacant land right now and it's zoned for housing, I mean, we all have to be really wary about that. Or commercial. Because this is what they're coming in, and this, we have 3 SB 35s already in some sort of building state and 2 proposed SB 330s.
To me, this is, okay, so I know this is like, and I hate to say it this way, this, to me, like, we're supposed to be nonpartisan, you know, at a local level, but this is really what you run into when you have a really hyper-partisan state, and this is kind of what happens. You have things that are done at a state level where the local control is taken away, and both sides of the aisle will say, local control this, local control that, it's so important, but the reality is, nobody cares. They don't care up there. I mean, they wouldn't pass this stuff if, I did good. I caught myself right there, but no, they wouldn't say these. They wouldn't pass these things if if that's what really mattered, right? So we find ourselves in these hard situations where, yeah, I get what you're saying, man. What you're saying makes a lot of sense, and then we have to do what we can and hope that the person that we're working with wants to be a good neighbor and play ball a little bit. But it's a hard position to be in.
I think District 4, because if these 2 330s go through, then we're going to have 3. I'll have one SB 35 and 2 SB 330s.
Yeah.
You have 1 SB 35. District 1 has 1 SB 35, and I don't think you two
have 0. I'm sorry.
Have one yet. But this is something the state. So Tom, our city attorney, can you let us know if we were to delay this or fight it or vote no? Just a
couple of thoughts. I'll answer that. But as your community development director has mentioned, there are state laws that provide incentives for housing programs. And that's just the reality of the situation that we're in. I also want to remind all of you that this item is just a contract to do environmental work, and caution you to not talk more about the details of the project.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's it.
Well, I have a question, and I'm not sure if I'm ignoring Tom or not. Hopefully not. But so the concern that the residents have is about the number of units. So even without the density bonus, what is the land currently zoned as far as density?
So the property is zoned rural residential, and I believe off the top of my head, it's approximately 40 units. So they're getting about 10 to 12 units in addition to what the base density allows.
Right. So,
sorry, just a little clarification on that one. They're technically only allowed 25
I'm sorry.
lots on that.
Okay.
So because it's rural residential half-acre lots, and it's about 12.5 acres total, so they're allowed 25 under the current density.
Like 2% over.
However, they are based on density bonus law, which we can't control. They're allowed based on how many low-income units they add. They can double up. Basically, they can do 100% density bonus, pretty much. So.
I appreciate that, Abdu. Okay, well, I'm glad to have heard that because I wasn't sure. I thought maybe because there are places where it switches from acre to half acre to multifamily zoning and whatnot, and I would have almost expected you to say, oh no, it's zoned for 45 houses, and so then that's not a big jump. But if it's zoned for basically 25 half acre lots, then I would suggest as it starts to go through the planning department, the community should stay involved, and whether or not anything can change, that's a different story, but at least you'll have gone to the meetings and participated. Yeah. So,
hey, Mayor,
if I could
go
ahead. Robert, if you can just give some insight in the limitations that we have from local control that's been stripped away from us. And then also I wanted to touch on concessions for these types of projects.
So there's a plethora of state laws that we can discuss, and it'll be a long meeting. But I'll touch on the ones that have been often used and used in the city of Wildomar. So there's SB 35, which was mentioned. SB 35 basically says that if a city has not met their progress, has not completed appropriate progress on their RENA, their housing goals, then an applicant could come in and submit an application under SB 35, and even if the city zoning code requires an entitlement or any type of discretionary approval, the city must process it administratively and ministerially. So it goes through the process without coming to public hearings, without having to address many of the requirements that we have. We only are allowed to apply objective design standards to those projects. So it's more of an expedited process, and it removes a lot of the requirements that we can apply to other properties. We also have SB 330, which is the Housing Crisis Act, and that basically changes Permit Streamlining Act, CEQA, and other requirements on housing, and it limits the city's ability to apply certain requirements, again, only allowing us to apply objective standards, shortening the process. So we can only do up to 5 hearings, even continuances and other bodies. So it minimizes that, and it also restricts what we can ask for and cannot ask for under 330. And then we have density bonus law, which is something that's been in the books for a while, but it's been changed. What Abdu was reminding me about the 2 projects that we're working on. There's a new requirement under density bonus law that allows an applicant not just to request a density bonus, but to do what is called stacking. So instead of just getting a certain amount of increase in their density and the amount of units that they can do, they can actually stack it and achieve 100% density bonus, so basically doubling the amount of units that they're allowed to have. And these are things that, if they qualify under state law, we do take it before the Planning Commission for density bonus law, but if they meet all the boxes, it's really just an administrative process, right? And then with density bonus law, there's things like concessions, incentives, and waivers, where basically if they qualify, depending on the amount of affordable units that they're providing, they're given a certain number of waivers or incentives, which allow them to either opt out to not comply with certain requirements or minimize the requirements, reduce. For example, if the setback is 20 feet, they can ask for a 10-foot setback. Minimum lot size, if that's 7,500, which is typical for a subdivision, they can reduce that down to 6,000. So they basically don't have to comply with all the requirements, or they can modify what they want to comply with. And the goal under that is to facilitate or simplify the process, or make it possible for more housing to come into a certain area. And that is applied across the board to all California cities and local agencies. So those are just a few of the housing laws that we have been seeing here in Wildomar.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that insight. City Clerk, do we have public comment on this item?
Gina Castanon.
Clarification on it. So, okay. Like I had said previously in my minutes, rural residential has been shrunken and shrunken and shrunken in Wildomar. And those little girls, again, were so cute because all of Wildomar was all real residential, and now that's shrinking. Why can't we have low-density housing areas throughout Wildomar. Why can't we make them buy over there? You know, why are we intruding on our rural residential, our quarter acre, our half acre? And with the general plan, that was another thing that I spoke against because, you know, back in the day, or there are still grandfathered properties that are a quarter acre, only a half an acre, and they're allowed. In the new general plan, you're not allowed a quarter acre to have animals or, you know, you have to have the big lots that I've mentioned before. I mean, how big is our low density housing, our low income housing area? Why aren't we putting them all just on the freeway? You know, why can't we say, and we can say no. I heard someone said we can't say no, but we pay a fee. What is the fee? Is it so, is it so much that we can't afford to protect Wildomar? Right? I mean, so that was my comments. I mean, I know that I know all the ADU state laws and all of this and that, but we have to have some control over the fact that we do have areas where they can put these. Different from personal houses that have ADUs, you can't do anything about that much. But these new developers coming in, you know, I mean, how much is it? How much is it can we afford to protect Wildomar? Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. All right.
Answer. I mean, they bought the land, so yes, we can show them obviously the general map and show them where we have designated it, but they're allowed to buy land where they buy the land. So I don't think there's anything we can do to prohibit that.
All right. So as a reminder, this item is to vote on or to approve to move forward.
It's on an agreement.
Conduct the analysis,
the environmental.
not the project. So with that being said, do you have any
Right.
last comment before I ask for a
clarify
motion?
something that we just heard, because I'm unfamiliar that we can essentially buy our way out of high density. She called it a fee. So do you know what is that accurate? There's a fee we can pay?
I have not heard of that. I mean,
That's what
I have not heard of that, yeah.
Or a fine. I mean, I've never heard of that as a way to get out of that, so.
I will say that if, we are found not in compliance with certain state laws, there are now fines, but that's not a pay to get out of the situation. It's more of a fine. Yeah.
I might add also that the applicant could then sue the city and would win, and in that case, the court authorizes the project, and then on top of that, the city is fined heavily. So the project moves forward anyway, unfortunately, and
with money being spent that we need to spend. All right, I'll make a motion to approve 1.17.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to item 111 because there wasn't recommended action on that.
I'll make a motion to approve 1.11 too.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion
Look at us handling it.
carries 5-0.
All right. I believe that gets us now to item 119. Is that correct?
We're on the consent calendar. I love it. All right. 1.19, looking for staff report? Or?
Yes, please. Could we get a staff report
sure.
on that item?
Yes. Thank you. Item 1.19 is before this council requesting authorization to enter into an agreement with a firm, Albert A. Webb and Associates, for specialty planning and environmental services to assist our planning team, who is typically focused on more development, day-to-day operations, to move a project like the specific plan for the Old Town area forward to completion in a timely and appropriate manner. Additionally, an appropriation into Fund 110, which is our Development Agreement Fund, is requested to cover the costs for this effort. Now, bringing in a consultant for this specific plan is necessary to provide, like I said, specialty services, not only for the CEQA work that the city typically completes using contractual services, because we don't have that expertise in-house, but also for other items such as the specific plan itself, which has a lot of local and state requirements that it must follow. I'm sorry, lost my place. Urban and landscape design work, specialty studies and surveys for things such as faults, power poles, and historic resources, a robust outreach program that's incorporated in the staff report that will have anywhere between 3 to 5 outreach meetings and or pop-up events, a bilingual survey, and planning commission city council workshops to select the best land use alternative. Now, it's important to note that we're looking to plan an area that is approximately 300 acres, and this type of specialty work is not inexpensive, particularly, like I said, the environmental work that involves many special analysis reports and document preparation to help clear state CEQA laws, and also a robust outreach effort, which takes a lot of manpower, a lot of work to go into that, with a program that mirrors that of a typical larger effort, such as a general plan amendment or housing element update, but important for this effort to ensure that this is a community-driven specific plan that will facilitate appropriate build-out and development of the historic area. Again, we can address things like what we discussed earlier on the housing and how we maintain the environment and what Wildomar is known for within that general area. However, the recommended consultant cost did come in close to the anticipated cost from staff, and is comparable with other similar efforts of this magnitude from my experience. With that, I conclude my report, but I welcome any further questions or clarifications. Thank you.
Pro Tem.
Yeah, Robert, thanks for that. I have just a couple questions. You look at the price tag and it's like, damn, that's a lot of money, right? Reminds me of the shade structures, and Marlon O'Brien. So my thought is that basically that 450K, right? So where are we pulling that from? And can we use that money for, like, I don't know, the park up the street that we want to get worked on? The mayor brought that up earlier, and it was a good point.
Yeah, so that money, staff looked at, funding opportunities for this, and it's being pulled from Fund 110, I believe, which is our development agreement fund. So basically, anytime there's a project that has a development agreement, there's a public benefit that's associated to that. So they typically have payments that they have to make in order to comply with the development agreement. That's put into an account. We're looking at pulling that out because that's slated for programs such as parks or anything else that has a community benefit to it, and we feel that this specific plan, which is a goal of this council, a goal of the community, something that the community is really looking forward to, it will be a community benefit in order to maintain the Wildomar atmosphere in this area and really plan this area out in order to have orderly development.
So this money could be used for the 27-acre park, though, because it is a public benefit.
Let me address that. Yes. Yeah. So more specifically, the funding is coming from the pot of money that we collect through the development agreements on cannabis.
Okay.
So we have approximately $4.5 million in that fund right now. So none of this would be general fund dollars.
Okay.
Yes, that money could be used on parks or any number of other community benefit items. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And right now there is a delay in the 27-acre park, right?
Well, the 27-acre park is estimated to be about $30 million.
No, I get that. But the first phase, right? The first phase is how much?
Well, I think you're talking about the 20-acre park.
Yes.
Over by Ann Sullivan.
Yes.
Yeah, and the delay on that isn't financial, and I can let Jason, but that has to do with the design of a bridge that we need to go on. Yeah, but right. So
I just want to make sure. I guess the overarching point I'm trying to make or want to get to is, thank you, Chris.
Yep.
You don't need to jump in, Jason. So it's as long as we're on the same page, jumping in, trying to maximize the value of our dollar and get things done, right? Because nothing's more frustrating for, I'm sure, everyone watching and us too. The speed of government sucks. So I mean, trying to do anything. We're talking about Bunny Canyon. I ran 10 years ago with the intention of getting Bunny Canyon fixed, which is, we're making progress, and 2029 is not that far away, but shoot, man, like, it's just, and, Buttery Canyon Road, it's coming along, we're doing great, but it's just, the frustration is there, and it's real, So my thought, that's a lot of money, and the thought is, okay, is the juice worth the squeeze? Are we going to we're going to spend $500,000 and not see anything for 10 years, and then have to. Sorry, my daughters have emergency bypass, so even on mute they can call and make it awkward. So even it takes 10 years to do, and then in 10 more years we have to redo it because it's been outdated and now CEQA has changed or whatever else. I want to make sure we're not wasting the money. That's all. And I think we all kind of feel that same way. So to me, it's like, what is the real sell here? What do we all get from doing this, right? So and how do we and what are we going to see somewhat soon? Because spending $500,000 and having to wait 20 years for something is like.
Let me try to address that. Yeah. I guess first of all, I'd point out that this is something we've talked about. It was in January adopted as one of 7 major goals for the city this year to start work on this plan. That being said, the mayor reminded me, we were talking the other day, that when the set of goals was established, we didn't have a price tag to go along with this yet, and so it's quite possible that the price came in higher than anyone anticipated. It actually came in higher than I was anticipating. That being said, just a little personal perspective for me. It's a lot of money. So much of what we do is maintenance, right? I mean, we're operating the day-to-day of government. Every once in a while, we have an opportunity to do something that is more visionary, right? To put something in place that will determine what the community looks and feels like, or a segment of the community looks and feels like in the future and in perpetuity. This is one of those efforts, right? It's not cheap. It's a big investment, and it's a big decision for the council to make if you want to make that kind of investment here. There are always other things money can be spent on. Government works in big numbers. Every month I sign a check bigger than this number for our police contract every single month, right? So it's a lot of money, but our budget, general fund and Measure A is about $26 million a year, right? And so I guess the question is establishing this vision for that part of the community a priority for the council? And if so, then is it worth investing this type of money for?
So a great point, and sorry, I'm not going to hijack the conversation. So yes, I agree with the vision, right? And I guess my ask is, I want to what are we buying then right now? We say yes, let's do this. What do we actually get? And can it be explained? Yeah. Because I get tired of hearing too. Sometimes it's embarrassing to me hearing things they come up with. I don't know. Why she has a parcel that's connected and she can have her dogs on it. And to me, it looks like one piece of land, right? And I understand there's nuances and all that, but we do a big study, we spend a bunch of money, and then we miss the mark on this one little thing, maybe whether it be horses or whatever it is. And so basically, what I'm getting at is what are we buying, right? So I mean, how do I go and say, yeah, we spent $500,000 and this is why?
Well, we hear an awful lot in this community from residents who have an interest in trying to preserve what is Wildomar, right? Mm-hmm. The history and feel of Wildomar. A specific plan is a way to establish a vision for the way a portion of the city will look and feel ultimately when it's developed out, right? Right now, development comes. Applicants will bring, it can look almost like anything, within the parameters of our code, but it's pretty loose. We don't have currently a way to really control ultimately how that will look. If someone's bringing a project and it's within the zoning, it's allowed, it's right. So this is a way we can say, no, this is how we want this area to look and feel. We're going to establish zoning overlay. We're going to establish architectural guidelines. This is the way the buildings have to look and feel. Square footage requirements. Okay, so yes, you can have a grocery store, but it can't be Albertsons. It can be a small general store, right? It can be right. So it stays with the land in perpetuity, so it doesn't expire in 10 years and the studies are no longer good and we have to redo it. No, it's almost like it sits on top of the zoning in perpetuity. So that's.
Can the state do anything? And I'm just talking. This is the last thing I'll say. We have the low income stuff, the ring numbers, all those things. So we do a specific plan. We want Old Town to be this cool thing where we can go get drinks and have barbershops and get old school Dijon milk and all that kind of stuff. Can the state mess with us in that sense? And by mess with us, make it so they can do whatever they want. We have no say in it.
I would hesitate to ever say that the state can't mess with us.
Maybe bad wording.
For more specifics, let me ask our Community Development Director to talk about how this interplays with state law and actually some ways that this could help protect us against some of what's coming down from Sacramento.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the limitations we have fall under what's called objective design standards, and a specific plan is a great tool. If you think of a specific plan as a general plan and the zoning ordinance married together as one document over and governs over a specific geographical area, we're able to establish objective standards and objective requirements that we can apply to projects, still being in conformance with state laws and limitations that we have there, but in essence, not stopping the development from coming that state law requires us to approve, but guiding it in a way that it's going to fit the city of Wildomar. So specific plan is that document that we can use to basically guide the vision and apply standards that will conform with state law, but also meets the intent and the vision of the city or of that area.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm sure I'll think of some other things, but thank you. Yeah.
So question I have is, yeah, that's a much larger price tag than I was anticipating. So speaking to objective design standards, could we meet some of those objectives by not doing a specific plan, but using some other tools that are more cost effective and such as like a design, architectural design standards, designating it as a historical district, things like that, that we may not need a specific plan for, but we can have some other tools that are less expensive.
We do have other tools that may be less expensive, and we actually already have those. We have design standards, and they are objective. But if you think about it, those are citywide. So in order to capture the essence of what we're trying to achieve citywide and apply that citywide, it's a bit harder than to narrow the scope of an area and really focus on what the vision is there and apply specific standards to that area. So we can certainly use or maybe create design guidelines or use a tool like that for that specific area. But the specific plan is a much broader document that it not only addresses the design standards and allows us to establish those objective standards that would help us comply with state law and pursue the vision, but also it addresses land use and zoning, so we can address some of the concerns with density and how we want to address that. We can get creative on how we can zone some of the property in order to protect it, not just from what the vision is for that area, but also what the state laws are mandating, and see how we can best address development in that area.
I have more comments and questions, but we haven't done public comment yet, have we?
We have not.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on this item?
There are no public comments.
We can continue.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So I think, there's been a lot of interest in having a historic downtown area, but I don't know that I'm prepared right now. I have a lot more questions. I'm not sure if I'm satisfied so far with the answers of if there are other ways that we could get it. For example, how long would it take us to, like, if we wanted to designate it as a historical downtown, like how long would it take to do that, and what would be the process for that?
The process for that is outside of the scope of what we're asking for in the specific plan, but if we want to explore that, I can certainly bring back, I haven't done the research, I don't want to say the wrong number, but it can take several months. We have to work with the state and federal to see if it qualifies first, and then pursue designation, and that can vary in any with any aspect that can delay that. But I can certainly bring that back to address that question more specifically. Just wanted to go back to the point of cost. It also, the cost was overall for the RFP that we released was kind of a sticker shock to us. This is kind of like in the middle of the range that we have. We had a range from like $300,000 to $700,000, as much as $700,000. So we picked a proposal that was the best proposal at the most reasonable price. There was a cheaper one, but it wasn't addressing all the concerns and the items that we wanted. So I just wanted to make sure that I share that information.
Sure, I appreciate that. And I think when I say cost, I think that I'm also looking at, there's going to be a lot of other costs on the other side of this. There's going to be, staff costs, outreach costs. There's going to be a lot of additional costs. And then how much is it going to cost to implement? I think there's going to be a lot of costs involved in implementation. And because, we get the agenda us council members get the agenda at the same time you guys get the agenda. I haven't had a chance to go over all of that. I don't know if we have all those numbers of the all-in costs, but I do want to address it as a downtown. But things like, I think there's a lot to consider. I do want to designate it as a downtown, make it a historical district. I'm just wondering if we have other tools.
Yeah, so on the implementation side, we have to, if development comes to that area, we have to implement anyways. It's just whether we use the general plan and regular zoning or the specific plan to implement that during development. And all development pays for itself, so our time, staff time is going to be paid for by development in order to implement this specific plan. As far as staff time, that's why we're bringing a consultant, because our staff is, they don't have the bandwidth to really, we're all obviously going to oversee it, but we're not going to spend much time doing, and the legwork doing the work. We're just going to basically oversee it and review things to make sure it's consistent with our vision. So it's going to be very minimal staff time that's going to be involved.
Any other questions? Ashley?
Not at the moment.
All right. Joseph?
Well, as you can guess, I have a lot of stuff I could say, but I'm willing to trade that for, I'm going to make a motion that we say no to this item 119, and we can come back with whatever the potential downtown designation or historic downtown designation thing through your department.
I do have some comments. I'm going
Well, I mean,
to hold back on the motion.
Right. I mean, you can sit there.
Yeah. No, it's out there. It's out there. I appreciate the desire to save some time.
As our city manager mentioned, this was one of our goals that we just talked about in length back in our January council. We need to protect our old town. We see what's happening. If you have a vacant land out there, we obviously are seeing what can happen to it. I want to protect that area and make that our old town, downtown historical, and save it for the future. And this is a vision we've had for a long, long time. Right, Gina? A long, long time. So I'm ready. I want to vote on this.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Moore. So I guess I've got some comments and some questions. I'll start with a general comment. Before we adopted this item as a goal, and we had the discussion about pursuing an RFP or going out to RFP, I think the request at that time was to go out to RFP and find out how much it costs, not to bring it forward to move on it, right? So I would prefer for this item to actually come back as a general business item, so we have enough time to go through the material, discuss it, strategize, how we want to approach it. I hear the community's desire to establish and preserve the history that we have in Wildomar. Not against that at all. But I also want to provide some realistic expectations. I want to be careful with the term of protecting the vacant land. At the end of the day, if we have a project that comes through and the state, qualifies under the state mandates, we can't prevent it, right? What we can do is say, we want it to look a certain way. From the economic development perspective, I think a specific plan would give us the tools to try to target specific industries in these spaces. So I do see that as a positive. But I'd like to talk about, what would be the impacts on existing businesses that would be impacted in this area? Do they risk becoming, illegal or non-conforming? Are there any potential issues like that?
So the thought process is that we would do a little bit of legwork to see what the baseline is, what's existing, and the intent is not to impact the existing businesses, rather work from that and improve on more vacant land or vacant property rather than the well-established businesses. So the specific plan is not intended to affect them or create a legal non-conforming use for the businesses that are there and the sites that are already developed.
Okay. Yeah, I think the other point I just want to make, we want to make sure that this is community-driven. I would appreciate the time to actually engage community, have their input. As Pro Tem Nig actually said, it's not like we're going to go out there and develop this ourselves within the next 10 years. So I don't necessarily see a rush to move on this. I understand staff's time may be limited, but I feel like we need to do a little legwork before we justify the cost.
Okay.
So what I'm asking is for this item to come back as a general business item after we do a little more due diligence.
When?
I mean, that's going to be dependent on when staff can, produce that.
So I got information about the designation for historic district or just historic area to explore that. As far as the community outreach, is the will of the council for us to go out and do community outreach before we kick off the specific plan effort, or is it to gather more information? I'm trying to ensure that I understand what the request is before we come back, so I can.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's going to be where there's consensus on this dais. So I'll ask my colleagues.
If I can throw in there with that, I would like to turn it back to, because it came here as a consent calendar item for $459,000, and consent calendar is considered routine. So obviously this is not routine. I'd like to see if we're serious in this, it probably should go back to the Planning Commission and let them have a discussion first, right? Because why wouldn't that could be the first place for the community to show up or not, and then we could get a feel from that. Because I know that at this point, this is mentioned in like a strategic plan that was budgeted for $120,000 for the strategic plan, which included, I think, part of the remodeling upstairs too. So then out of that, this is a huge number. And if you read the report, it mentioned that it needs expensive seismic studies too. So if we're going to do the one, you got to do both. Otherwise, in my opinion, you're doing it halfway. So to me, it's a nice idea, but it came in as way higher price than we would have thought. It's like, nope. So that's where I'm at that. So
if I may, the proposal includes seismic analysis and studies, but it's included in the price that is before the council. And the reason why this item wasn't taken to the Planning Commission, because we haven't initiated the planning effort. The Planning Commission and the community and this council is going to be heavily involved. We have a robust outreach plan as part of the specific plan effort. The reason it wasn't taken before the Planning Commission because this is an item that is under the jurisdiction of the City Council for the agreement and the professional agreement. But as we kick off the effort, we are going to engage all levels of decision making and also the community as well, and that's all included in this proposal
in the agreement, right?
before.
And I do want to reiterate and recognize that I do appreciate that the plan that you're putting before us includes a lot of community outreach and engagement opportunities. Yeah. So that's not lost on our conversation up here.
With none of us. But so make a motion to move this to a later.
Well, Councilmember Morabito made a motion.
But no
and we don't have a second yet, but.
Well, I can just
you want to
what'd you say, rescind or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can withdraw your motion if you'd like.
Because we're going to table it.
Okay.
How long, though, that we haven't.
Table it to.
We haven't set a date.
If I may, I just want to understand, before we come back, we bring exactly what you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a mention about community outreach. I just want to understand what the goal is with that. Is the intent for us to go out and do community outreach in order to determine whether we want to move forward with this professional services agreement? Because the community outreach for the specific plan itself is part of that agreement. If approved, then our consultants and our team can move forward with community outreach for the specific plan effort and to move it forward. But I just want to make sure if there's any type of outreach that does take time. And so that's going to dictate when we come back.
This was one of our goals that we decided on in January.
The way I understood it was that this was on consent calendar, and so it really didn't give the community the appropriate notice to get here and talk about this. And so that's what we're trying to kind of remedy now.
Okay.
But I think moving it to general business is a good start, and that is a good start on our outreach.
Okay.
And that gives us some time to be able to communicate with residents. But in the meantime, I'd also like to make as part of the motion to table it, to also move forward, unless it's a separate action, to move forward with designating it as a historical district as soon as possible.
And if I can jump in, I agree with my colleague here that that's the big issue. I think that just a regular city council meeting could be the initial public, outreach.
Okay.
But it was on the consent calendar, and obviously we were able to talk about it. This has taken up a lot of, time this evening, but it has a different weight when it is not in consent calendar.
Any agenda item can be spoken on, or you can pull, or you can discuss it. So that's any agenda item.
No, but I think the point, and this is how I understand it. And I love hearing. We're elected, so we like to hear ourselves talk. Okay, so this is what we do. Ashley, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? So if Joe Smo or Gina is reading through the agenda, if it's on consent calendar, usually it's kind of the mundane things, right? It's minutes, it's this, treasury report, blah, 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 So you're not going to put a whole lot of thought into maybe the consent calendar things. If you don't know what you're looking for, especially not. So I think really the intent is, bring it back next month, have a PowerPoint, put it on general business, and we're good to go.
So I just have to.
That's it.
You two set the agenda, correct? So.
Oh yeah, no, you're not wrong. Hey, it's not lost on me. And some of the way things, this is how it works for me.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So, and this is, you get to see government working. We see things, and the more we think about things, we marinate on it. I'm like, you know what? That's not right. And we talked about it earlier today. Hey, you know what? Maybe we should just take it off altogether. But we wanted to have the discussion first up here, so we all have the conversation. There's no reason. There was no intent to hide behind something. It was really like, I told him earlier, like, hey, I could just pull it and we'll talk about it next month.
So the vision we've wanted that to be our Old Town Downtown. We're 18 years old now. This is a vision we've had for 18 years. It's our item that we voted on as one of our 7 goals this year. So I'm just asking then, now when are we going to be bringing this back to?
Could I ask, Robert, do you think, based on workload, that we could likely bring this back in June?
Yes, I think we can.
Okay.
What we can do is bring it back in June and have a presentation to address a lot of the questions and comments we have, be more thorough on the proposal and what we're recommending and what the vision of the specific plan is and how that's going to look. So I think we can prepare that by June.
Also, to speak with Bridget's comment, and some of it, I'll just give you inside baseball, okay? This is how some of the stuff, it's a learning point for staff from us, right? They're learning to work for us too. Is this something that I would like to they've just been known? Yeah, sure. But you know what? Now everyone knows this kind of shit needs to go to general business. It is what it is. It's a learning point for everyone. So really nothing's being lost. Next month we're going to talk about it. We'll probably vote yes on it. I like it, but I think we owe it to everyone to talk about it. So I second Ashley's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Sorry, staff.
All right, there are no items scheduled for public hearing. We now move on to general business. Item 3.1, presented by Cameron Luna, a.k.a. Jason Momoa.
Or The Rock, dude. Look at him. Or what's the main guy's name? Maui from yeah. Either way, all compliments, man. So.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the Wildomar City Council. My name is Cameron Luna. I'm one of the engineers in the Public Works Engineering Department, assigned to managing the city's roadway maintenance and rehabilitation program. So as the presentation gets uploaded, we're going to cover the program summary and the potential list of streets for the upcoming fiscal year 2026-2027. And then just to highlight one of the recent segments that we completed under the current project, the portion of Bundy Canyon heading east into city limits around Sunset and Cottonwood Canyon. And then let's see. So to recap the program, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, that was passed through Senate Bill 1, where it is essentially a gas tax. So each time that you go to the pump, a portion of what you're paying per gallon is brokered off to contribute towards the road maintenance and rehabilitation program. So the state collects that and they distribute it to the local agencies. I think it's on a per capita basis. And we receive an annual appropriation of that tax. Typically, they give us the estimates each January, which the upcoming year, we're anticipating net revenue of just under $1 million at $981,270. And this is a restricted fund that specifically needs to go to road repair, routine maintenance, rehabilitation. So very pavement emphasis restricted tax. It does have some opportunities once the city's overall program value is brought to a certain level that it can be utilized for other things in the public right of way, but predominantly it's for road repair. So to recap our program since the Senate bill was passed, we first began in fiscal year 2018-2019 with addressing 4 segments in the city. The revenue has continued to grow on an annual basis, but there is prediction that it's going to be pretty stable as more vehicle users adopt EVs and things that do not capture that gas tax. In 2019-2020, we grew the program to address 10 street segments. Then in 2021 to 2022, we addressed 2 key segments of road, and then as well as initiated the city slurry seal program. And so in that effort, we were able to maintain 60 residential streets. And then in fiscal year 23-24 was our biggest effort, where we addressed about 25% of the streets' overall publicly maintained roadway network. That was 12 street segments and then 129 residential slurry streets. And the reason being was that was the first year where we captured 2 annual revenues from fiscal year 22-23 and combined it with 23-24. And so we've seen that strategy be most effective with stretching the public dollar and maximizing economies of scale. In 24-25, on this biannual approach, what we did do in that period was we updated our pavement management program. So that's something that is required as in order to utilize these funds. As the city maintains a program that evaluates and values its street network. Typically, those programs last from 5 to 6 years. So we went through the effort to get us through the rest of this decade to fiscal year 2030, 2031. And that was brought to you earlier this year in February. It is adopted and is now one of our working booklets that we use as a tool in making the determination of what streets we want to present to you, the council, to adopt as part of the program. And then currently, CIP 057-3, 058-3, that is the project that you see out in the streets right now. So we awarded a contract to All American Asphalt at the March Council meeting to do 3 different segments of Bundy Canyon Road. They've completed the Mission Trail to Orange Street segment. They have done the segment that is going to be the Phase 2 widening, as well as segment 3 that was shown in the picture earlier. So that's from west of Oak Circle to Sunset Avenue. And then we are working in the final process to obtain the encroachment permit from Caltrans to do the segment of Bundy Canyon that's beneath the freeway underpass. Separate from that, we've completed rehabilitated segments along Almond Street, Orange Street, Gruelle Street, several locations of deep dig out repairs throughout the city. And then we are in the process of preparing at the end of this month, beginning of next month, to do the residential slurry seal streets. So you may be familiar that we've completed the weed kill and crack fill process, and then we are working with our contractor to determine the most appropriate schedule so we can mobilize in and complete the resealing of those streets. Along with that are 2 of our municipally owned parking lots here at City Hall and Marno and Bryan Park that are included in that schedule. And so that was essentially last year's resolution now be in effect as part of a capital project. So tonight's item is to help with the public input and determination of the upcoming fiscal year's list of program streets. So how do we select our roads? It's primarily 5 categories. The first is we start with reviewing our pavement condition index for our street network. So in general, there's 5 categories. At the top, you have excellent roads that are from PCI grade of 90 to 100, all the way down to very poor failed roads that are 0 to 25. The pavement condition index is an engineered effort where a third-party firm is brought into the city. It typically takes them a year to fully digest, index all of our roads, get us the most accurate numbers of how big they are and the level of distress that they're in, and then they each receive a grade, which then gives the city its overall network grade. And so this is just a picture of one of the vehicles here in front of City Hall, where we use the latest technology to essentially scan and take pictures every 5 to 10 feet and create an entire database. So we are tracking it and coming up to you, the council, with our best approach of how we think we can best utilize these annual funds to maintain the city's street network. Second part of the road selection criteria is roadway priority. Predominantly, roadway priority begins with the general plan circulation element. The reason being is these are your routes to school, your truck haul routes, your emergency access routes. They are the primary paths for the movement of people and goods throughout the city to where, specific residential streets are going to see a lower volume than streets like Clinton Keith, Palomar, Bundy Canyon, where some trips are upwards of, 20,000 vehicles a day. And so, being that they're getting the most utilization, they also require the most maintenance, so that way that, our residents and the community as a whole, whether they live here or they work here throughout the day, that they can have a pavement network that they can rely on. And so we begin with that process because in maintaining those to the best degree possible, that allows us to ensure that our pavement program is robust and can handle the demands of the community. The next category is future overlapping projects. And what that covers is essentially anytime we have developer projects which may be conditioned to make street improvements, if we have overlapping capital projects, sometimes they're our own projects, sometimes they are projects by other agencies that are within the city, that we want to take that in consideration with the recommendations that we make to you, the council. That way we're not spending these maintenance funds for a street that's going to be ripped up and completely widened or realigned in that manner. And I wanted to address something in regards to just the segment of Bundy that we did do that is in that ultimate widening and realignment stage. So that was an investment that you, the council, and us, the staff, recommended because ultimately during the duration of that construction contract and throughout that entire period, our community still needs to rely on that road segment to be vital during the period of construction. And so that was an effort that I think that, we can now see the benefit of that through construction into that new roadway. But where that does not make sense, or it's not that scenario, we don't want to make recommendations to address streets that we know down the road are going to be improved by somebody else's money. We want to use our local funds, these revenues, towards streets that can better receive it for a longer duration. The fourth criteria is this opportunity tonight, which we are required to bring to the council on an annual basis, the opportunity for just public input, your feedback. We collect public input throughout the year. We enter it into a database that our administrative assistants collect. Anytime we receive phone calls, we review the logs of also our public works maintenance crew. Where are they spending the most time and effort on? And that helps us develop the initial list that we propose in draft form. And then finally, is the rehabilitation cost. So as you know, on an annual basis, we're receiving just short of $1 million from this particular fund. We do our best to include a portion of our Measure A dollars, our Measure AA dollars, but we have to, at the end of the day, recommend what's most feasible in approach. It's not a worst street is the first street that's fixed. It is substantially more affordable to maintain streets with a less degree of severity, like a slurry seal treatment or resurfacing treatment, than it is to completely rip out and build a new structural section. And so the pavement management program helps us with making those determinations and recommendations. That way we can get the most out of our maintenance program with the funds that we have. And so on the topic of just the fiscal costs, as I mentioned, the RMRA funds, which are the annual funds, the local funds. And then we also do our due diligence to look for grant opportunities and where we can incorporate that in our program. This year's project was, we've been running a series of projects where we're able to utilize the best pavement products out there that include recycled tires and a rubberized polymer additive, and the state actually gives us a credit for utilizing that, so it helps offset that cost. And so that's just one example of grant funds that we can bring into our maintenance program. In general, these are just photos of Bundy Canyon, a section of Gruelle near Fire Station 61, and a section of one of our residential streets that was a part of the scope of work of this project that's currently ongoing. So, being presented tonight is our initial draft list of potential rehab streets. So they needed to be included and at the following meeting be adopted by resolution. We turn that into the state, which essentially gives us the eligibility and ability to utilize the next year's annual funds. So what's being presented, and again with utilizing our PMP as one of the tools, are portions of Clinton Keith Road, Mission Trail, the Farm Road, Almond Street, Harvest Way, Cherry Street, Grand Avenue, Lemon Street, Gruelle Street, Orange Street, and Wesley Street. a good bulk of these are rolled over from a year-to-year basis, and we just try to find the right project where the portion of work is sized for what our allocation is to address. But there are some new additions to that. There is also double coverage with our capital improvement projects. That way, if we have an opportunity where we go out to bid and it's short only, a couple $100,000, that RMRA would be an eligible shortfall plug to make that project fundable. And so we just do that as a practice, should that be the case, that we've covered our bases, that we could utilize that fund for a capital expenditure. And then separate from that, more on the maintenance end. So these are your chip seals, your what we call an ARAM. So these are the less than a full grind out and removal. And of course your slurry streets, that most residential streets receive that treatment. We have portions of the farm community, the final portion of Windsong Valley, and then other residential streets and tract neighborhoods near Grand Avenue, Palomar Road, and Clinton Keith Road. And for the most part, that'll cover, since we've initiated the slurry seal program, all the residential streets will have been maintained in that last 6 or 7 years, with exception to the Sedco Hills area, only because earlier you had heard there's several projects that are going to be going on there from our partners at the water district. So it would be a better opportunity for us, right, when we talk about future overlapping projects, that we don't go maintain those streets that they're going to be putting in sewer lines and septic conversions and things of that nature. But other than that, that'll sort of get us right to where the recommendation is, that we try to treat our residential streets every 7 to 8 years. So the city's on track to maintain kind of what is an industry standard as far as maintenance goes. So here's the potential streets to maintain that. And so I covered all those streets just in map form, but this is in list form, and it was included in your staff report. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or receive any input on the item.
Okay. City Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
We have no public comments.
All right. I just want to start off by saying I am super excited that Lemon Street is on there from Mission Trail to Grape. I don't know how much time, how many complaints, concerns we get. So I'm super happy that that's going to be getting addressed. I hope that the rain doesn't ruin it, but it's a different issue. With that, I'll open up comments to the dais. Councilmember Moore.
Yeah. Can we go back to the slide with all the list, just the list, one slide back. So Cherry Street from Baxter Road to Canyon Drive. So Baxter Road would be the old road that would have came through, but there's a ditch right there. I'm trying to figure out.
This should
it's
be
before Como.
Gruel Street changes names into Cherry, and it continues north.
So it's after, because Gruel, okay, so Gruel goes up by the park, by the baseball field, that's Como. Okay, so that is.
Yeah, there's a four-way stop intersection, and it's the same segment of road, but it's a name conversion.
Perfect. Yeah, that needs us so bad right there. So no, I'm happy with and then how long can residents give their input?
We take them in any day, annually. We just have to.
I mean, for this.
Yeah, we have to bring the resolution by July, so we take it at our June council meeting.
Okay, so by June.
Yeah, we can still receive public input prior to that.
Okay.
And yeah, so just to clarify, for inclusion into this list, we would appreciate the input probably by the end of this month, so as we wrap up the staff report and the list of recommendations for the June council meeting.
Okay. And then it might have been said, so we did Bundy all the way to Orange, which was great, but now Orange underneath the freeway. Are we still going to do that?
Yeah. So Cameron mentioned earlier, we're finishing the process to get the Caltrans permit.
Okay.
Once we have that permit, then the contractor can go in and complete that portion. Okay. So that's part of this current project.
And just for timeline on that, I believe that's expected to be completed this summer, right?
Correct. I think by end of June is what we're currently projecting.
Yeah, we have a schedule with our contractor to perform the work in June. Permitting, but it's within the awarded contract that they have. So. Hopefully,
I think it would be safe to say this summer.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Councilmember Morbido.
All right, I have a couple of comments. First, thank you very much for that little bit of road. It's got to be Cat Road that you were talking about in one of the neighborhoods. It was great to have a surprise. I mean, if you wanted to let me know ahead of time, that would have been great too. But finding out, driving on it was like, is this happening? That was great. So appreciate that. So one street that seems in need of some TLC, and maybe, because I've not heard about this either, it would be great if it was coming along with Walmart at the other end of Monte Vista, but the other end of Monte Vista it's almost not a road anymore. So that needs to be somewhere put on the list. It'd be really hard to have Walmart open, whether they're required to do it or not. It's going to be hard to open up Walmart because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to take Wildomar Trail to go the back way. Very few people, if they're coming from the south, as they're driving north, they're not going to go past it, come back. They're going to get off of Wildomar Trail, and they're going to run into that horrible road that I don't know where it starts to get normal. Is it all the way at Summer Sage, or is it maybe somewhere after the church? Do you have a...
Yeah, so the pavement starts to change, I think, at Cornerstone because they repaved that northbound lane a few years ago to do a sewer line or a water line. We are working with one developer, KB Home, on the east side of the road because they also had an obligation to complete some frontage improvements there. We are also in the very early stages of reviewing a potential development on the west side of the road. And so those are the, we could always add the road to our list. And then it's there and it's eligible, but we would want to, or we would recommend taking those factors into consideration when we decide kind of the timing and also the limits.
Sure, and because I would say that Cherry, I'm not sure about where Gruel, but probably Gruel and Almond are likely in my district, and it's an election year. But I'm saying that I think that the amount of traffic on those roads, because one is my friend Dan, Cherry Street, but the amount of traffic is so light compared to a Monte Vista that's heavily traveled. So I'm not sure how we do that. So I wouldn't want to postpone those smaller streets for indefinitely, but you know.
Yeah, and we appreciate that feedback. I think for Cherry Street in particular, that's one road where we are spending a lot of time just with our maintenance crews, and we were getting a lot of public complaints.
Oh yeah,
and
especially if there's one corner that's really bad.
Yeah, so like Cameron said, we don't necessarily always address worst first, but when the road gets to a certain level, we need to make sure that it remains serviceable, and so those factors come into play as well.
Well, if you could just have that on the list so you can give us an update the next time of where it's at, because even if it's at the bottom of the list, slowly working its way up, that helps for talking about Monte Vista.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this is receive and file, so I believe that concludes your time up here, Cameron. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We now move on. Oh, yeah. Let's give a round of applause. Actually, Cameron, that was your cue to say you're welcome. All right. We now move on to general business item 3.2, presented by our principal engineer, Carlos Geronimo.
Good evening, Council, Mayor and Council members. Here I am again to present this item before you. I think the item on the screen is not the right one. I don't do coffee with the city. I like coffee, but... There we go. Great. Thank you. So before you bring this item, it is the Streetlight Program Feasibility Analysis Phase 1 Streetlight Project. Okay. So over the last few years, we've received some requests from the residents, also council, and to put some streetlights in some of our cities where there's lack of infrastructure, where it's dark, and where there's visibility is an issue, and safety as well. So we have also, over a couple of years ago, completed our local roadway safety plan, where it recommended installation of streetlights on several corridors to improve visibility and safety for pedestrians and motorists as well during nighttime hours. So here's some of the areas that were community recommended. Some are within the SETCO areas and some areas around that community as well. We have Olive Street, Lemon, Waite, a couple other sections of Almond Street. Also Cat Road, there's a small segment over there where we received a request to put street lights. Okay. And this is from our local road safety plan recommendations. This is to address particular safety in areas where there have been incidents in the past. We have Grand Avenue, a couple segments, Clinton Keith, and a couple segments on Mission Trail. Okay. So as far as the options to put street lights, so we looked at 3 options that we have. The new street lights, putting new street lights on existing SC utility poles. So you see a picture of those right here on the right. So we have some of these streets have some of these poles already on the right of way. The only caveat with those is that those poles may not meet the standards for street lighting on a roadway, so they may be staggered at different distances than what's in our standards. We also have an option to put solar power street lights on some of these segments, and also new street lights on poles with fixtures. So that's what you would see on a typical residential or completed roadway. It's more of a permanent infrastructure. So with each of these options, you can see there's some caveats and some things that are permissible. You can see some of the costs associated with each as well. And the installation of existing SCE on utility poles. So those are the cheapest options that is available to us. So also to consider costs with each of these options and other things. For example, on new street lights on existing SCE utility poles, it's a low capital cost initially. We do not own those street lights. It'll be up to SCE because we are mounting them on their infrastructure. And it's limited to locations with utility poles as well. So solar power streetlights are more flexible. We can install them anywhere. They're usually directly buried on the dirt, and those could be actually moved later on. So there's no connection. There's off the grid pretty much. So they can be installed anywhere. And with new street poles and fixtures, though, that requires quite a bit of coordination and design with SCE and the specific locations. And those are pretty much on concrete structures. They're meant to be more of a permanent type of locations. Okay. So some preliminary estimates that we run out for the streets are going to be mounted on existing SCE utility poles. There's a total of 153 locations that were identified where that could happen. And among those recommended locations, residential and for the local road safety plan. So in total, the cost is $306,000 for what we see here in the screen on the average cost. And those are for 153 lights. Also, we run a quick estimate on how much it will cost to place these same street lights on solar street lights, right? So the cost for that will be about $918,000. But just keep in mind that with solar, you don't have those monthly costs associated with it, whereas with the streets mounted on SE poles, you will have monthly average cost of $2,300, about $2,400 per month, and those are with the discounts from SCE because we're installing them in their poles. If you were to run a quick analysis on kind of a break-even point, one versus the other, an initial cost for the SCE mounted lights is cheaper. And you have those recurring monthly $2,400 costs versus the $900,000 for street lights. So you're looking at kind of a break-even point somewhere about 22 years where that would catch up, and you will recover if you were to install solar power and not the SE, right? So, and that's just a quick analysis. That doesn't take into account replacement costs, maintenance costs. So in 22 years, you have to replace some of the battery units on the solar powers, maybe the actual panels themselves and some of the lights. So you're probably looking at somewhere in about 30 years where you break that even. So that's something to consider, right? Okay, so after that, just some quick steps. So we recommend adding a phase 1 streetlight project that includes installation of streetlights on existing SC utility poles at their requested locations, and including the local road safety plan recommended locations in that phase 1 project. So the phase 1 streetlight project will be included as a new project in the 5-year capital program for 26-27. Initially for design, not for construction, because we want to make sure we do an in-depth analysis of how much it's actually going to cost. These are just rough estimates what we're presenting to you today, but if you give us the green light, then we can do an in-depth analysis and identify funding sources for the project itself. Okay. And that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Carlos. I just wanted to start off our comments by saying I'm excited about this. This is a common request and, request for information on how to obtain lights that we get across the city. I appreciate you also addressing those questions that I had given you in advance. But I also want to just say super happy with the areas that you've identified. I think we get a lot of concerns, accidents, Waite Street, or historically we have. I'm happy to see our connector streets leading to Grape to the freeway, especially with that SB 35 project that's going into that area. For me, I'm in preference of option 1. This is a pilot program, so I would, and being that the other one, option 2 is just so much more expensive. I'd prefer that we pilot this, try it out, and see if this is the direction, a viable option for the community for us to pursue. I would have loved to see, and it's just a little preference of mine, just the visibility area output between the two options, just to kind of get an idea of what we're expecting. But the other reason that I'm in favor of option 1 is I know you identified some of the areas that this could go into, Sedco, much more narrow streets. So adding a pole, probably not the best option to make that street a little more narrow. So for me, I support this. I would like to see us pursue option 1.
What's option 1 again? Is that
mounting them onto the SCE poles. Yeah, so with that being said, do my colleagues have any other comments?
No, I agree with the mayor, and but I would say that unless it's one or the other, and you can't have a little of both, I could see where some of the solar, to have a couple, like, oh, that could go here, and who knows, maybe that could even double as a pole for a flock camera, possibly, in an area that doesn't have something like that. And one of the area off of Cat Road, I know that was a concern from one of the residents over there, and I remember telling them initially that, because I didn't know, right, to pull the conduit and all that, I would assume it would be a great undertaking, but it sounds like we might be able to get this on to an existing pole to help some dark areas. Like on my way home tonight, I'll go that way, and I have at night seen people walking from Stater Brothers in the dark, so appreciate that.
Yeah, and just to note that it's not a one-size-fits-all. So once we do in-depth analysis, we can, figure out, okay, this makes sense to put it on a power pole, or it makes sense to actually maybe do a standalone solar street light, or a combination of both on a given segment. So, we'll come back and with some more detailed recommendations and costs and analysis and things like that.
So I guess my follow-up would be, so is there an appreciable difference in the look, not so much the look of the pole, but of the light coming down? Is it going to be like, oh, light, what's that one? I mean, you know what I mean? Does it basically give the same light?
We have standards for power output or illumination based on the roadway classifications, right? And also, depending on the manufacturer, some look a little bit different than others. And so that's something that, if it's a solar power, for example, there's a bunch of vendors out there, and everybody has a little bit different, power outputs, looks, and illuminations, and things like that. So for standard lights, we pretty much have standard already set from our partner WRCOG, which we take those standards so we can have uniformity in the streets. For solar power, it's a little bit different, so we have to more or less kind of match what we already have, and depending on the vendor type also, what that would look like. But there'll be a little bit difference between a solar and an actual street light.
And Councilmember Morbido, if I can add, with the option 1, the Edison mounted lights, we typically have to follow Edison's standard because they own the light. We're just paying for it. So they have a preferred light fixture type, so it's LED. It may have a slightly different color temperature than the one we're using elsewhere citywide on our own poles. I think generally maybe just at a quick glance may not look too different, but there may be some distinctions between color temperature, between the lumens, just because we're kind of subject to whatever Edison allows us to use.
Just a quick question. Do they manufacture these types of lights that can be mounted onto the poles that are solar? Not that we'd be able to use them because we have to go with whatever they tell us to use in this option, but do they actually manufacture those? Would those potentially be an option in the future as we update them?
Maybe not understanding the manufacturing.
Yeah, this type of, so the hybrid of a solar mounted onto an Edison pole option.
Yeah, I mean, there's some vendors have those connections where you have a Amaron pole, like a typical pole, and you can mount the solar lights on top of those. Also on the SC mounted poles, but I'm not sure if they allow those just because it's, I think they're more concerned about the weight, wind, and things like that on the power poles.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think that concludes comments up here. I also just want to say I appreciate Councilmember Morbido's pointing out that, or as you mentioned, there's not a one-size-fits-all. So I'm open to, exploring adding these types of lights where it makes sense. Cool. This item is receive and file, so thank you so much, Carlos, for that presentation.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to council communications. We'll start with Councilmember Moore.
I have some pictures. It's been very busy.
Mayor, you might want to go back to item 3.2 real quick. It was, the action is to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve Phase 1 Streetlight Project recommendation for the first option.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you for catching that, City Attorney. That's why you get paid the big bucks. All right, back to council communications.
Yes, I think Heidi's pulling up, or someone's pulling up pictures. Or it's on the clicker. Okay, so this was the chamber breakfast last month, and the next one is tomorrow morning. We always have chamber breakfast like right after city council. Next. And this was coffee with the deputy, so thank you to RSO. And this was at the new McDonald's on Bundy Canyon, so we look forward to future events. And this was the new Exalted ruler, so the Elks Lodge, they change on April 1st, so the new Exalted ruler is Davis Holt, and this was at his gala. Next. This was at Earth Day event, so this is Edison, so thank you for coming. They're one of our sponsors for the Earth Day event, which we had 250 volunteers. We filled a roll-off, and it was 5.51 tons, and we also built a community garden. Just another, might be some pictures from Earth Day. Yep, we were on Grand Avenue, Mission Trail. Okay, and this was the Crystal Apple Awards. So the Latter-day Saints Church, LDS, they host a Crystal Apple Award where they give out awards to the teachers. So this is there. Councilmember Ashley DiFilippo was there as well. Another teacher that was recognized. And hearing their stories, like just like tonight, they've been there 20, 30 years, and they love just being recognized for everything they've done for the students. Next. Was that it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, as a mixer, attended RTA meetings. I'm also on the Community Action and Partnership CAP meetings. Also attended the special games, also with Councilmember DiFilippo. This is like Special Olympics. So this is the games for the students in the Lake Elsinore School District. Attended the Bus Drivers Appreciation Day at the high school. Cops for Kids, RSO is back there. We had our successful Cops for Kids annual golf tournament. Attended the State of the District. That was last Tuesday. Great things happening in our community. I spoke at the Canyon Lake National Day of Prayer, so that is why I missed the city manager's breakfast. Sorry about that. It was the same time. I also spoke with students that are political science majors. Spoke with them last Friday. Attended with Councilmember Morabito, the new location for Stizzy. They opened on Mission Trail and Bundy. Yesterday, we hosted a lunch for the ATP program, which is Adults with Special Needs Adult Transition Program at Martin O'Brien Park. There were 70 students and 30 staff, so we had a total of 115 people there. And then also the fire that was mentioned earlier, Chief Reed, myself, Diane Gauntz, Bob Borges, we were up there helping save the Montague family's home. So we had the hose up there. And they did great. I had to give a shout out to their two children. Their two boys are amazing. So I know, Mayor Marquez, you've been recognizing some people, and these two teenagers did so much to save that home. It was amazing to watch.
All right, just three quick notes. First, as at RCTC this morning, that's Riverside County Transportation Commission, we passed the fiscal year 26-27 budget, $1.3 billion. A lot of money for Riverside County. Okay. So number two is a reminder that there's going to be a town hall meeting at Donald Graham Elementary, MPR. That's, I believe, the 23rd. Is that right? All right. So then this next one is where it's harder to be a elected official because sometimes you're part of stuff that other people don't like. I was at a ribbon cutting for Tres Lagos, and a lot of the community is not a fan of that apartment complex. But the people who live there are Wildomar, however you want to call us, Wildomartians, Wildomarians, as much as anybody else, whether they've lived there a year or 40 years. They are residents of the city. And so I was there as an ambassador from the city it was for management. We want to have a good working relationship with Tres Lagos. That includes code enforcement, RSO, and the staff at the city. So I was part of that. And even though once the picture of the ribbon cutting went out, it got onto social media, and it's like, oh, Joseph, shame. I'm sorry, that's just, if you're only going to be dealing with people that you like, probably should not look to be up here. There's other stuff that you is part of your job, and you got to be a professional and do it. So that's my soapbox moment.
And Councilmember Morabito, the date is actually the 27th, Wednesday the 27th, 6 p.m.
Stand corrected.
Thank you. I have some pictures, but I don't have a connector up here to show you them. But so I'll go through some things.
It might work, I'm not sure.
No,
It doesn't.
This is not all of them, but Crystal Apple Coffee with the Deputy. Thank you for hosting that. It was great. The special games, LEUSD, that was amazing. It's such a fun event. The Bus Driver Appreciation Day, State of the District for LEUSD, where we heard of all the great accomplishments that the district had this year. SCAG, Joseph and Dustin were also at SCAG. Lots of great opportunities there to meet with colleagues from across the Southern California. Sally Meyer, Student of the Month. She organized and developed Student of the Month awards in this region, and they had their last volunteer luncheon as her being at the helm of that. And she's still going to volunteer, but she'll no longer be running the organization. So I got to go and present her with a certificate on for her accomplishments in her oh my gosh, what's what I'm looking for? But yeah, for helping out our students for all these years. It was really a great event. Really appreciated her all these years. Adults with Special Needs, that was another wonderful event put on by the Wildomar Beautification Volunteers. Cinco de Mayo at the Senior Assisted Living. I like to call it Senior de Mayo. Haha. Wildomarket, it was a great event. The Wildomarket. Elsinore High School, the boys volleyball team played CIF round 2, I believe it was Division 2, and I was able to attend that, and it was a really fun game. And then Student of the Month, and we had just a wonderful student from Wildomar and 2 Lake Elsinore residents, but students at Elsinore High School. That one, sorry, not Student of the Month, Student of the Year. So there we go. That's a little bit of what I was at this month.
You want to add a few things?
Maybe.
Well, yeah, got great colleagues up here on the dais. I'll keep mine short. I'll just report on SCAFA. So we did have a meeting last week. I'd like to inform you guys that I got board support to revisit increasing the mitigation fee that Wildomar receives. In addition, I've also requested to try to add an annual CPI increase to that, so that should be coming forth at our October meeting. So I hope to provide you with an update at that time. But yeah, I just wanted to share hopeful news coming out of the SCAFA meeting. For those in the audience and also watching, SCAFA is there's the JPA. We have 7 cities and the county basically oversee shelter operations. Right? I think that's a good way to put it. But yeah, that's it for me. City Manager, do we have a report?
Yeah, just a couple things. Illegal dumping was an issue in the past week or so. We talked about it briefly earlier, but wanted to emphasize that we're jumping on it. Hats off to Code Enforcement and Public Works. There was a really bad incident off of Lost Road. They worked quickly to address that. The question of cameras and how we might be able to catch these people came up. We're seeing a couple of companies, one in particular, that are doing this over and over and over again. For example, a roofing company, right, that is disposing of the roofing materials from their jobs. So it was talked about, can we buy cameras that are maybe solar powered and put them in places where we're commonly seeing dumping? It turns out, in looking into this, that we have placed a couple of flock cameras specifically in that area for that purpose. Along the way, the policy changed, the city policy changed, so that code enforcement cannot currently access those cameras, just RSO and the city manager. So we'll probably look to revisit that policy and see if we can change that to give code enforcement access so we can use it to catch these people who have been doing the illegal dumping. You see a new staff face here tonight. I want to welcome Ryan Miller, our new Economic Development Manager. You'll be seeing a lot more of him in the community, working to bring the right kinds of businesses to town and grow our economic base. Welcome, Ryan. And then just on a personal note, it's hard to imagine this for me, but tomorrow, May 14th, will be my 1 year here at the city, and it's just been a reason for me to stop and reflect on my experience here over the last year. And I know I've said this before, but I just want to really reiterate how happy I am to be here in Wildomar and work with this council and the staff. And the community here is really special. People really are different in different places. you know, and I've found the community here in Wildomar to be very genuine, very warm. I felt very welcomed over the past year. People really care about this community, and I really appreciate that. And it just feels good to be part of a community that cares. And I want the community to know, because you don't get to see these people in action behind the scenes. This is a great city council. Every member on this council cares deeply about this community, works hard for this community, and is in it for the right reasons, which is just to do the best job they can to make this the best community it can be. So very happy to be here, and I hope to be here for quite a long time.
Thank you, City Manager, and welcome, Ryan. We do have, so this will now bring us to future agenda items. Jokingly, I want to say that we adopt the phrase, there's no place like home, but instead of Kansas, there's now Wildomar. On a serious note, though, I'm curious, and Robert, this is going to be a question for you, if there's an opportunity to look into providing incentives for these areas that have vacant land in these rural zones to try to persuade folks to say, you know, don't sell to, you know, developer that wants to bring in, you know, apartments, whatever. I'm just curious to see if there's a way to try to incentivize, whether that's through the, you know, through economic development. I'd like to see if there's anything that we can do in that manner. I know we obviously can't restrict them. We can't tell them that they can't. But I'd like to make that a little tougher for them to say, sure, I accept your proposal, you know, to do what you want with my land.
I'm not sure off the top of my head what that might be, but we can certainly look into it. Yeah.
Are you requesting that's a future agenda item?
As a future agenda item, yeah, to look into or bring back. If just explore what our options may be, if there's something that we can do from an economic development perspective, community development perspective. Can we provide incentives? I mean, I guess this would really be for developers, but to now attract, you know, something other than housing projects.
Short answer, sir, yes. We will bring you some of the information and show it to you as well. There are strict laws where we aren't real estate agents, so we have to be very careful on the language and such. Yeah. We can show you incentives that other cities use to attract development. Yeah.
Great, thank you. That's it for me. Any items that you guys would like to request?
Yes. So last month we discussed the Veterans Memorial. I know there was, we went back and forth on where and what kind, memorial, monument, cemetery, not cemetery. But I did speak with our city manager, Chris Mann, so the idea of a veterans committee. So I'd like to see when that would be on a future agenda, because I really want to get that going. Again, we've been a city 18 years. We don't have a veterans memorial here. We need one. So I don't want to really wait much longer.
I support that.
And then I loved Councilman Nig tonight bringing up the parks, because I'm all about parks. So I don't know if we can get maybe a parks update. It doesn't be a future agenda item, maybe. But just love to see where our parks, we got to get these parks open. And then if we could reach out to the Wildomar Historical Society, because we usually, as Ms. Stella would mention, ringing the bell. So we're ringing the bell on our birthday, July 1st. And so are they planning something? So yes, I think Jada mentioned the Historical Society owns that bill. So are they planning an event for July 1st and what time? So we can, oh, I thought it was the historical school district, okay. Anyway, we don't, so someone needs to plan an event so we can go.
All right, I got a couple. The first one is kind of easy. If we could just get a staff report that I'd been working with Jason on this topic, so you've kind of already done a lot of footwork, but I think if we had a short staff report talking about especially the older parts of Wildomar, like Maple and Illinois streets, why they didn't get accepted in, because we probably can fumble our way through an explanation to somebody, but that's one of those things that I haven't necessarily heard a good, solid why that's the case in a long time. So that would be a nice thing to have, and we can all then refer back to it. Maybe that even could be put separate on the, somewhere on the, like a link to that part on our website so that we can always send people to where the information is. Then I have a different one talking about having gone to SCAG, having had a conversation with our colleague from Norco, Kevin Bash. Now, he was of the opinion that recent SCOTUS decision about districts would apply to California and city council districts too. So I would like to have, if Tom could go over how legitimate that may or may not be, and if it turns out that Shankman got shanked from his own law or whatever, his own ambitions, then I would like to see us go back. We might not have time this year, which is fine, but it would make sense to go to at large again if that's actually true.
It is.
So those are mine.
Just for clarification, are you asking for a future agenda item, or
Well,
are you
I mean-
just asking for staff to research and bring back?
Right. I mean, so because then it would come back on an agenda and we'd listen to the staff report. So whatever the proper terminology is.
When I put a vote later?
Well, I mean, obviously they would come back with we can or can't, and then
We can certainly do the research and send that out in a memo, or do you want an agenda item to talk about it? Yeah.
Look, I've only been on council like 7.5 years, and I'm going, whichever is makes the most sense to you guys.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. I will now adjourn the City Council and Cemetery District meeting at 9:17 p.m.